the heart and soul of our sport, where these players strive to become who they're truly meant to be.
No more break, it's time for action. Welcome to Overwatch Contenders. Why, hello there, friends. It's summer outside, and I've got my hat to keep me cool. But I can't be wearing it inside, as we got another day of summer series coming at you for Contenders. I'm Rich right here alongside Kenobi. We have still been cooling down from last week on the match that we had, but now we get to start here again with another, I think, good one on our hands for the day. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I was like, where is Rich? I was like sitting here, I was like ready to do like the normal camera thing, and you're just not there anymore. And I was like, okay, well, what happened? You go get a drink or go to the bathroom? But no, you're just making a nice little show for the people outside, showing off your cool hat, you know. Cool Italy.
You'll be wearing that
hat.
soon.
Yeah,
I know.
In Italy. But yeah, you're right. Last week, I mean, we did have an absolute banger of a series that I'm still reeling from, like you're mentioning, cooling down from it. It was an impeccable one. But since then, I mean, we've had some shakeups, not just in NA, but in EMEA as well. But we can take a look at the standings in NA as we go into our second week of this tournament so far. And kind of, I mean, similar to what we were expecting, except for the fact that I think 0-3 Splash being 4-0, pretty big deal there. I mean, that top five, and even like, you know, Good Boys to an extent and Strix, like this top half of the group stages, I think is looking incredibly competitive right now, which is awesome to see, because it felt like, you know, going into this season, or going into this, it was like, oh, this is going to be very much like just kind of Saints versus the world, but it doesn't seem like it's that. It seems like there's a lot of competition, and even as we get lower like into the standings, there's still a lot to play for that last spot in 8th.
Absolutely. And you can see as we take a look at today's schedule, specifically in what we've got lined up for you, it's going to be Amplify versus Worldwide to start off the day. As we do have Strix, which we already had a great opportunity to see them on broadcast once before, versus Saints. And again, you know, Amplify and Worldwide, again, trying to climb their way up here. Amplify, again, floating around that 8th spot. Really would love to get another win here to secure that. And I'm super excited to see how this one's going to unfold from, you know, the lower half of the tier that we see.
Yeah, I mean, this is about halfway through the tournament, right? And I think for Amplify and Worldwide, it's an incredibly important matchup for both of them. For Amplify, it's basically like, if we win, we can kind of fight with Afterlife for that 8th spot, you know, try and squeak our way into that playoffs. But for Worldwide, I mean, they haven't won yet. They've only had 2 map wins. So for them, it's like kind of about that momentum, right? Going down 0-5 almost kind of would guarantee that Worldwide wouldn't be able to make it into the playoffs unless a miracle run happens. So I think that this is a very big matchup for both of these teams with a lot of stakes that could really end up impacting playoff standings as we get to like round 11 and 10 in a couple weeks from now.
And since we're talking about the overarching aspect of these teams, let's take a look at the roster here specifically for Amplify and talk a little bit more in detail. Again, these are names that we've seen previously. We've been able to get some great insight onto them, but now we get to see them on broadcast being able to perform against Worldwide. And these names, again, really so excited to see how they're going to perform. And this support line is something I really, really am looking at as well, for how significant the supports have been in these last 3 broadcasts.
Yeah, I think this has been an interesting team because there are like some names that like people should know, but also some names of like players who kind of have flown under the radar a little bit and are starting to make a name for themselves. I think, you know, Doge and Tap, I think, are 2 players who a lot of people should be familiar with if you've been around tier 2, you know, as long as we have, Rich, you and I mean, even in collegiate, right? So I think that this is a matchup that for this Amplified team, it's about kind of figuring out, you know, continuing to gel as a team, because that's really like the biggest thing when you kind of make these teams like towards the back end and you're like kind of like just throwing them together a little bit. You got to really find a way to, you know, gel as a unit, and I think that they've done an okay job with that so far, but they need to step it up probably a little bit more as we go into the rest of this tournament.
And I think that goes just as well for Worldwide as we get to take a look at their roster. That there's a lot of, I think, strengths that they have, but it's still just really looking to refine and allow this team to become more cohesive. There was a lot that we got to see, at least from the previous broadcast last week, where they were having a lot of trouble managing the back support lines, which were just dominating over them, especially when it came to the Ana category. But then there was this transition from Tristan kind of making some focus on it. Same thing with Emerin as well. So I'm really liking to see how they're going to continue to advance. But as we continue to get further and further through this, they have less and less time to do that.
Yeah, I think this is like very much a put up or shut up type thing for both these teams, where it's like if Worldwide loses, I think that they, again, like I said, it's very difficult for them to find a way back in to the playoff spot, like towards that 8th speed. And then when we go into, you know, the other side with Afterlife, I think that this is like a moment for them where they can really grab hold of 8th seed, especially, or not Afterlife, rather Amplify, because Amplify did beat Afterlife, who is now in that 8th seed. So getting that head to head would be such a momentum booster for this team.
and a show for all of us to see, as we actually do have confirmation on what our first map of control is going to be, and that's going to be Busan. And again, we'd like to always really see which one specifically of the 3 subcategories that we can get for this map to kind of understand the momentum and the direction that this is going to go, just because there is such a vast difference in trying to see competitive play between the 3 of them.
Yeah, I think this is another one of those control maps where it's like there's a lot of variability in terms of depending on what map we go, what composition we see. You know, Rush has been very prevalent. Winston still kind of reigns supreme in a lot of these matches, and I know there's a lot of talk about Winston and his current place in the meta, and you know,
Door's recent tweet.
Door's tweet about the 44%, where it's like there's a lot of Winston being played, and I think it does have to do with like kind of how strong Winston is and how reliable Winston is. But I think the thing about Winston that's interesting to me is that like it's very easy to tell, I think, to see who is like the best Winston, or like if you're a good Winston, I think it shows like tremendously out, but if you're like a kind of rather of the weaker side, it like is also very prevalent as well. So I think that as we kind of go through the tournament, I think there are going to be a lot more teams that we start seeing like probably move away from Winston and start like moving on to like some other things that are just like not as strong, I'll say in quotes, but like might be better suited towards the play style or the heroes pool of that particular player on the tank.
It's like having a chef's knife that, you know, still cuts through the food. It's just maybe not as easily since it hasn't been sharpened or honed. That's kind of where I think about it, especially with the Winston, because there are those really significant fine details that allow you to play at such a precise level, which can really elevate and differentiate yourself from other Winstons. But as we are entering into this first map, looking to see how it's going to play out, just because we did see Sawhill in the previous broadcast be able to start working with a little bit of the Winston, did have some alternative play as well, struggle a little bit against their opponent, and looking to really refine their methodology in playing to compete against Amplify.
And I think that also kind of will come down to the supports as well, because I think one of the things that if there is a Winston who is punishable, right, one of the best things to punish is like sleep and anti, which is like really prevalent now because Anne is as prevalent as she is in the meta. So I think looking at the backliners as well is going to be important to see kind of like how that tank matchup ends up lining up, because I think supports have a huge impact on how tank matchups go a lot of the time, right? A lot of the time we kind of think about it as just like in a vacuum 1v1 as a tank matchup, but I think supports are very impactful in terms of enabling tanks. So I think the support line also is going to have to be something we look at going into this matchup.
And we are going to be heading on to here in just a moment as we do gain confirmation that it is going to be Sanctuary that we get first of the potential 3. And, you know, to piggyback even further, you talked about the supports. That was almost Worldwide's kryptonite, really. It was just Ana specifically from neutral that was just bringing so much value to it. The understanding of how to nullify and deny a lot of that value coming in from the support lane in the back aspect of it, but also the well-rounded play that needs to occur from theirs on their own. So entering into this first map, we'll see how they continue, because the other thing that even Hurix mentioned was that Worldwide had such a great understanding of neutral fights out the gate.
Yeah, great understanding of the neutral fight. And I think that that's also something that, like, when we have this very push and pull type of meta that we do right now, having that neutral fight understanding is like kind of that first stepping stone and a good foundation to start building a much more cohesive team fight and more cohesive compositional usage. But as we go into Busan as our first map, we're on, I think it was Sanctuary. Did we call
Yes.
Sanctuary. There we go. We got it from last week. But make sure to get your predictions in chat. 1s and 2s, 1 for Amplify, 2 for Worldwide. As we start things off here, and I was talking a lot about the Winston play, we're not seeing a lick of that. We're seeing a lot of different variations of things right now. It's the Junker Queen versus the Hammond matchup. Doge, very much known for his Hammond. So going into this, I wonder how it's going to be able to be played against this lineup, because Junker Queen kind of does have an ability to stifle the momentum of a Hammond if used correctly.
Yeah, the Jagged Blade really being an asset to reel them right back into it, even though there is still high mobility. Doge able to get out by the skin of their teeth, rounding that corner, denying visibility. There also needs to be some assistance from Amplified, getting PGE back online and topped up, but what a great opportunity to reel them back in, get that pickup, and start gaining the initial percent.
Yeah, fantastic Jagged Blade there coming in from Sawhill, who sees the Brigitte just a little bit over-aggressive there, hits a perfect knife, and then is able to get the kill. But throughout all that, there is the kill onto Nolan in the backline, so there is no Moira at the current moment. This might be a time where Amplify can try and push the advantage a little bit while the healing is lacking.
And we'll see if they can capitalize on it. You have a nice engagement into the side, pile drive as well, harassing Tristan for the moment, but there is the Suzu to make sure that they do return and come back unscathed from that. But a big collapse coming through with the assistance of PGE to vaporize Tristan. nowhere able to get away from that, despite them having the movement speed, and Doge has now really started to come in and cause a lot of harassment.
Another pile drive into the backline. Emeren getting taken down extremely low and finally getting taken out, and now I think for Worldwide, it's just about trying to get as much percentage as you can off the back of this one, as Worldwide just going to start just trying their best to pick up some of these kills. Doge getting taken down extremely low, but not yet.
Yeah, and there's so much well-rounded survivability coming out from Worldwide, but with the EMP, that might instantly change the outcome here because everyone is denied ability to basically respond.
I actually really like this decision of like the composition from Worldwide. It feels like they read exactly what Amplify was going to do, because one of the best things about this composition that if you have all 5 members from Worldwide, it's very difficult to dive this composition if you're Amplify. You need to like hit like a stick or a purple because there's a lot of survivability that the dive just isn't going to be able to chew through, and then Worldwide can come back in with their own cooldowns and really put the screws to Amplify's backline if they're out of position a little bit. As a Coalescence comes in, that's a flanking Coalescence on the backline, I think.
Collapsing onto Derby and yielding value, chasing down Buddy as well with the adjoined formation from Worldwide to completely eviscerate this support line, and now going to be able to claim dominance on this position and swap it away as they get rid of the last player.
That looked like a DPS Moira Coalescence I've seen in like Plat. Like that was, I did not expect like a flanking Moira Coalescence, but it's so smart, right? Because one of the things about that backline for Amplify, there's not a lot of survivability. If you don't hit sleep or you don't hit anti, Coalescence is going to run through you, and that's a single ultimate used from Worldwide to win that fight. So they still got 4 in the bank. They have an EMP, one of the biggest ultimates in the game, and we're getting towards that last fight territory for Worldwide.
And then there's the adjustment onto the Ramatra versus the Wrecking Ball. Rampage out the gate, only clips 1. There is the rally to give some extra fortification onto the front line to see if they can withstand this. But still, Worldwide with Kitsune Rush and a plethora of ultimates that they can utilize in this fight at such a high percent is a guaranteed win and just massive opportunity for them to take this first round.
Yeah, Tap is just around here seeing if he can proc, overtime before this fight ends up going on. They do get overtime back in. Tap is going to have to try get back onto this point as well. Here comes Doge 2. Not running a lot of ultimates though. They need to find PGE and make sure PGE can find a way to get the CMP in time, but there's the Molten Core.
Yep, that's going to zone them away. It's going to be extremely challenging for Doge to continue to win around this drum since they're constantly in the lava. And it was also this interesting ebb and flow between the two because Amplified was originally onto the Wrecking Ball, lost a small bit of percent, went onto the Ramatra, then to come back onto the Wrecking Ball in a desperate play. Just looks a little bit disjointed in some of their decision making, especially with how high value that percentage was going into the last fight.
I do got to give a lot of credit to Worldwide though, specifically coming out on that composition, right? A perfect read from them. They're like, okay, I think they had to have an idea of what was going to be on the other side because it was just the perfect counter composition, right? It's Hammond, Tracer, and it's Sombra, very, very good dive heroes, but Worldwide comes out on 5 heroes that it's literally impossible to insta-kill, right? Because you have so much survivability. So really good decision making there. As you can see in the percentages, chat predictions, Amplify has a significant lead here, but Worldwide off to a pretty good start as we go into Mecha Base.
Predictions are definitely amplified, but we will see if Worldwide is able to change the outcomes and make 30% of all of you in chat feel a lot better about yourselves, as they do look for 20 seconds before this point does become active. The neutral onto this high ground is, again, something we really like to fixate onto Worldwide because they have been able to play it so proficiently. Their composition a little bit wavering from what we've seen. Common here onto this mecha base. Tristan barely gets that fade out of there in time, eludes the incoming damage to cycle back around the center pillar so that they can get that extra damage onto the front line. Doge is getting absolutely blown to pieces with those shotgun shells and sending them back.
And I think this is, again, another great, read from Worldwide, right? Where it's I think Amplify here, bringing in the Sojourn, it's very much an idea of kind of feast or famine, where it's if Sojourn's able to pop off with PGE and get that one headshot, it was so close, right? PGE almost took off Tristan's head, but Tristan uses a perfectly timed Wraith form, comes back in, and then really they just overwhelm Amplify with that damage from the Reaper. And a fantastic wall forces out Nemesis form, so now Amplify don't really have a way into this fight. They have to just poke it out and wait for Doge to finally get that one back.
It's the synergy between both Sawhill and Emeren, because they're able to get the wall and the vortex, which even if they do make it through the wall, they can't move at normal speed. So now they take a transition, the Coalescence has crossed the doorway, so it gets extra value. Even though there's a counter amplification matrix, there's far too much of an influx of damage, and Tristan is just able to do as they've done before and clean up everyone in close proximity.
I mean, Worldwide with these rotations are just schmoovin' and grooving right now. You saw that there was the one side where Amplify was trying to go through the right door, and then immediately, as soon as Worldwide kind of gets an idea that Amplify is going to rotate around around, instantly rotates back over with the rest of the team. A perfect wall from Emerin and a Coalescence to blanket everything and make it so difficult for Amplified to come through, as now they're going to rush in, see what they can find. Here comes the Nemesis form.
Nice movement early from Durfee to get them through, and unfortunately the mill.
Ajax.
Gotta love it, denying that accessibility in Houston, which is going to make it much more challenging as Worldwide attempts with the Annihilation to counter back. But there is Durfee with the sound barrier, giving them protection to withstand the longevity of that ultimate. This is going to be a nice opportunity for Amplify, and it all really snowballs from the wall that came up from Emerin, not really hitting Paydirt.
Yeah, I think they got caught off guard with that rotation a little bit, as we'll see the replay of this. Yeah, I mean, this is just one of the things that Sojourn, especially in Overclock, can do that Reaper really can't, is have this one-shot potential to make plays like that. I think if you were going to be a little critical of Amplify, they did use maybe a little bit too many ultimates there because they don't really have anything now, and Tristan on the back end can come in with this Death Blossom and cause a lot of hurt.
You know, we were talking about how well Amplify was going in, a little bit of overcommittance. At that point, we come back in where Worldwide has absolute surroundings on Doge. They are completely inescapable from damage, which is why they go down so quickly. And now transitioning up to this high ground, 75%. Worldwide is able to collapse onto these last few. They separate them out, especially with the Vortex slowing their momentum in retreat. There is at least a pickup by PGE, but again, the damage is already done, and it's 15% to go.
Oh, PGE's able to get another one, though. Tristan's, I mean, not in this fight. That means there's no Death Blossom right now, and Sawhill getting taken down incredibly low finally trades out PGE.
Need to make sure that they keep them topped up. Nemesis form active. Joe's trying to play the point and the position. Nolan is almost eliminated, but great support coming into the back line and also getting that healing sphere as there is an annihilation from Sawhill to guarantee that they are able to take this position and deny accessibility from Amplify. That will be a very dominant performance here from Worldwide from what we were able to see on last broadcast, as they have been able to upgrade and really utilize the rotations like you highlighted throughout both of these rounds.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to what we were talking about at the start, where it's like you mentioned Hurix was talking about the last time we saw Worldwide, where it's like the neutral fight is like really good for this team. If they can kind of like, you know, build on that, this team can like have a little bit of success. And that looked like it right there. I mean, that looked like a team that was really, like, you could have fooled me that a team playing this well and this coordinated was 0-4 and it only won 2 maps. Like, that was really well played from them. I think, you know, it was obviously it's control, where there's a lot of different kind of like minutia there. And I think, but like this, just from the get, the fact that Worldwide came out on this composition and just understood that there was potentially going to be that very heavy dive comp, and they just run essentially what I would consider anti-dive. I mean, that shows that they have a really good mind for the game.
And this was also taking a little bit of a chapter out of what we already saw with this map, specifically with Strix. The Junker Queen kind of rose to the top, brought a lot of value into this, and in conjunction with those points that you made as well to really lock down that dive, everything just really starts to fall into place for them. And this second round looks so much more convincing on top of the first.
And I think as we go into, like, you know, amplifying what they need to do to kind of go further into the series and not end up losing. There were some good moments. You know, PG I think looked really good on his Sojourn for the most part, but there were a couple of times where they just like had good like engage moments, like that one fight, the fight that preceded this one, where they just rushed out and just went aggressive and weren't really playing off the back foot. Like, if I can see more of that, I think this looks a lot closer for this Amplified team, because when they set the pace, I think they look so much more cohesive.
Yeah, and especially with the value of the one-shot potential, and that was, you know, kind of the differentiator, especially when you take out the Lucio before using the sound barrier, actually landing that, denying the Ajax. I mean, come on, like that makes you feel so much better. And as we waver away from the control map, that's where we're going to start to see that kind of rise to the surface and what kind of opportunities are going to be presented here from Amplify, because that's what we did see, you know, shifting away from Worldwide. They were transitioning into Eichenwald, where they did have a different type of play style. We don't know exactly what the map is yet, but we do know that they've played, I think, a little bit more. They have a little bit of a challenge going into this, because when it came to the support line and the positional advantage and how they kind of manage all of these multiple different positions, especially the high ground, it became more of a problem for them.
Yeah, I think one of the things that like I remember hearing Dor and Hurix talk about was just like how much value neutral is getting and just not taking any damage, right? Kind of just like sitting on high. So if we do see something like similar to that, hopefully it's something that Worldwide has learned from. Like, you know, can't just let an Anna, who is potentially one of like the most important parts of these compositions, like get as much value as she is in a lot of these situations. So as we go into our next map, depending on what it is, I think also we kind of have to look at how the compositional changes are going to affect them, because that was a lot of Lucio Moira, right? It was a lot of Kiriko Moira. You can't necessarily play those on like you can try on like you can theoretically like in Hero Select like pick Lucio Moira, right? But like if it's Eichenwald, you need kind of some sort of longer range healing. You need that ability to like control those high grounds and have an be able to really affect the game from like nades that just aren't in front of you from like different angles and stuff like that. So as we see the composition change depending on the map we go to, that could also throw a wrench in what Worldwide is trying to do, because they did look phenomenal on that.
And I believe we also do have a substitute as well coming through as we do gain confirmation of the map. It will be Numbani. So looking at that map specifically, we talk a lot about that elevated position. We see a lot of Diva play come into this, Winston as well. So that's going to really deviate away from what we've already seen from Worldwide play quite well here, and how they're going to be able to structure that moving forward.
And as we do kind of look at the Amplify, I think they are the ones who are making that sub right now. Is it Amplify? I think it's Amplify.
It looks like it is Worldwide. I believe that they're going to actually sub out Emery for the moment, as we are about to get into that. But again, so this subtle adjustment might be able to give them an advantage here, trying to play to the strengths since they are going onto the map of Numbani, this hybrid where they could potentially see that Amplify does play it a little bit more strongly and seeing what they can do to combat against it.
Yeah, and I think that like depending on like what we go to in terms of like, this is a map in Numbani where verticality, very big deal. Echo, I think, is like a hero who has in general just started like cropping up a little bit more in the meta, but definitely like here on Eichenwald in like these maps where you have that like very high skybox to work with and also have that ability to poke down into like these enclosed areas. So I think that like Echo is definitely something that like we need to keep an eye on as being an incredibly impactful hero going throughout the rest of this tournament, and also like on maps like this, specifically like Numbani, I think is one where she does a pretty decent job of, operating in.
And we actually do have confirmation that there is another substitute on the opposing side, so you were correct. It is going to be Power Boost coming in as the alternative support to partner up alongside Buddy. So both teams having some slight variations going into this map specifically, which I'm really looking forward to seeing how that shifts and what kind of impact in the overarching dynamic of this map is going to bring. Especially when we've got, let's see, I think it's actually going to be, yes, it is going to be amplified on the defending side, where we do have Worldwide on the attack.
Ash as well, I think, is something that kind of, in general, we also need to look at on this map in particular, especially on the first defense, where it's like Ash gets a lot of value because the areas into this point are very easy to just kind of chuck dynamite into and just be like, hey, like, this is going to be totally fine for us.
Absolutely. As we now have these seconds dwindling, we get to take a look at what the amplified defensive lineup is going to look like. Power Boost coming out onto the Brig, which we have seen some great success with, and the viability as well when it comes to the whip shot, how to deny any sort of aggression onto the Ana and Buddy specifically. But my eye is still fixated onto what Buddy can bring into this, because that was the kryptonite that Worldwide had. Yeah,
the Ana is just going to be what my eyes are peeled on in particular as we see Worldwide. If they are going to be bringing out this Echo, it's going to be against Tap. Tap is someone who kind of throughout his career has been very prolific on like these projectile heroes. I specifically remember back on like Pharah, back on Uprising Academy, right? Tap was incredible. Echo kind of similar to Pharah in a lot of these regards. So that matchup between Adamu, who just came in, and Tap is going to be one that kind of can change the dynamic of this map.
You can see already Bionade landing onto Worldwide for the moment. Hesitancy before re-diving as they take that high ground position. Ebb and flow, really, to see how they can potentially engage this next one. You can see that Sawhill waiting, since that jump now is back online, for an advantageous angle to go to the supports. Nice shield to come up, denying the sleep dart. Buddy in. Able to land that for now. Tristan gets a flanking position as you do have Power Boost dropping down below, but there is a 1-for-1 exchange in the DPS line. They've lost their Echo play, solely relying on what remains here for Worldwide. They've got the close spawns as well. They've taken this quite rapidly in comparison to what we've seen in their other hybrid maps.
And I don't even know if there's a way to get back into this one. Amplify's going to try, but a nice anti-nade, and Doge is not going to be long for this world, and just a lonely Tracer left to try and juggle as much as they can, but it's not going to matter too much, and this should be a cap already for Worldwide, who again, I mean, starting things off incredibly strong here and incredibly just aggressive going in, putting Sawhill, being patient as well, like using that neutral game where Sawhill kind of knows exactly when to go in, when they, have cooldowns available to him, when he can use bubble, when he can use jump, and they just kind of overwhelm Amplify in a way that they weren't expecting, and now Worldwide, he's going to have 5 minutes to start working through second.
And I know we've only seen a couple instances of it from Sawhill, but the bubble timing to deny the sleep dart has been much more effective this time. We saw a blunder when it came to watch point on them last time, a nano boosted primal rage that was instantly denied due to the timing. So we can now see them continue to try and keep that synergy. Unfortunately, PGE gets the follow-up onto this and is able to halt Worldwide with more.
PGE also starting things off really good there with the pulse bomb onto the Ana, so that means there's no real way for Worldwide to stand in that fight. And now with all these ultimates that we have coming into this next one, this is going to be a bloodbath here. Duplicates available also for Tap. Amadu is very close to theirs as well, so expect a lot of particle fights in this next one.
You can see the aerial battle ensues. Focusing beam shuts him out, clips the wings and hits the floor, but Buddy goes down in tandem. Pulse bomb lands from Tristan, so you have a lot riding on the shoulders now for power boost and self-sustainability from Amplified as they actually still maintain this corner. Doge gets the primal, but is taking a nap for the moment, and they've actually been able to hold on to this despite it being an opportunity of deleting the support line. Worldwide has neither of them.
I mean, Worldwide does have a respawn advantage, which is going to be incredibly important to them because Amplify has used basically their entire bank, and they're not winning this fight as clean as they should, right? Worldwide comes back in, they have the respawn advantage, and look, they still have a nano, they still have a primal, they still have their duplicate. Amplify threw a lot into that fight and realistically didn't win it, Rich.
Yeah, and Worldwide being able to have that presence of mind and understanding of where that threshold is to really not need to throw anything into this, and now stacking close to that 5 ultimates. They do have a beautiful aerial sweep out of the duplicate. Wondrous play coming in with the sub that comes through for Worldwide, showing that they are absolutely here to play.
That was so awesome. I just have no other words for it. Yeah, that's another one right into the reel. I mean, Amplify's going to try and hold here. Rally is committed. Nice anti-nave onto Amplify's backline, and that should be it. I mean, this Worldwide team is looking crispy. They're looking clean. They're playing with some swagger. I mean, Amadu just hit like a mid-air sleep on the tap on an Ana. Like, this is just Worldwide really playing with so much confidence that we didn't see from them. I mean, that's so sick.
Oh, that was so clean. Thank you, Oz. Thank you, Replay. Oh, everything. You're all amazing. We get to take that full force, transitioning now into the final segment of this. This is the best place for Amplify to hold, though, because it is one of the more challenging to push through this bottleneck.
Yeah, but they don't have anything to work with here, and Tristan's looking in the back line for a pulse bomb. Doesn't manage to find purchase, so they're going to have to retreat here, and now Amplify start this defensive end. PG getting taken down incredibly low, needs to recall out of here.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see now that there is Amplified on the defense, able to hold the line for the moment. Sawhill not going to overstay their welcome. The stickies land for the moment, but everyone tops them back up and now looks for a re-engagement once they get back to a solid 5 and back to healthy.
You see Sawhill is just diving in softly, trying to take some damage so that no one can get towards this nano, and that's going to be the go button, but on the other side, Amplify has one of their own.
PGE down below, still causing a lot with those pulse pistols. Duplicate now comes in. TVT +1 as Tap on the high ground looks for the elimination. Can't quite get it, nor generating to this pulse bomb, I think, as quickly as they would like. The time continues to dissipate. Are they going to be able to find purchase? The shield just grabs it before clipping onto the brick, so is able to survive through that. Sawhill still evades and eludes the damage, so Worldwide actually has a still decent disengagement.
And Redx is actually using the rally to try and get Worldwide to go back into this one, but there comes the focusing beam. Redx gets obliterated, and I don't know if Worldwide can continue in this fight.
No, this is going to be disastrous. There's a couple of pickups, though, here from Amplify to continue putting insult to injury, bringing them back each squad.
Yeah, and that's going to be a fight completely won by Amplify here, who, again, do use a lot of cooldowns to try and win that one. So, and with like 2.5 minutes, there's going to be at least one more ultimate cycle for both of these teams. Luckily enough, though, they keep Rally, which is going to be a big deal. And in this next fight, you're really going to be looking for Tristan. Eyes are going to be on him because at this point, like, you need to find a way to take this Rally out of the equation, and then you'll just have a much easier time winning this one. Here comes Amadu, though. Again, trying to do the same thing.
Wow.
This time it does not work, but they actually get the sleep onto the Winston instead.
I see you, Grasshopper. You shall not get me twice. As you will see them go back down below, attempting to try and gain what value they can, but PGE comes in with a double melee, giving a left and then a right.
They just forgot about PGE in the backline. Just no one looked at PGE, and PGE got 2 1-clips just bing, bang, boom. That's all you really need at that point. And this time bank that was looking so good for Worldwide is getting significantly dwindled down. 1.5 minutes left for them. And you can see Worldwide actually making wholesale swaps here, not trying to match mano-a-mano with this composition. But you've let Amplify get a lot of really key ultimates. With 1 minute and 30 seconds left. I mean, probably more now with the Ana going down. I mean, they got to stop the bleeding somehow if you're worldwide. This is bad.
Yeah, and the focusing beam is going to continue to dominate when necessary. Tristan now adjusting onto the hit scan to start applying some pressure to Tap, but like I talked about going into this last choke point is so devastating to get through.
Especially when you have like players as capable as like PGE and Tap who can just really spam through those chokeholds. Nolan getting taken down low, misses the sleep, but PGE should be able to survive out of this one. Nolan shouldn't die here, especially with the Lucio, but actually...
Oh! Bob and weave! Health pack is consumed. PGE out! As Tap comes in, though, since so much focus was on PGE, they're able to take this off angle, get an elimination, and then Doge just causing even more electrical harassment in this confined space, putting insult to injury with 50 seconds to go.
It feels like Worldwide are just scrambling a little bit here as PGE does get taken out, but the cohesiveness that we've been seeing earlier, as soon as like Amplify starts stringing a couple of fights together, it just seemed to have vanished for Worldwide. And with 30 seconds left and with where the card is, this is their last chance.
And I love this angle that Tap is continuing to take every time they move up the stairway to take the high ground. There is instant damage coming out from the tri-shot, the stickies. They just have to play recovery. The duplicate now onto the jungle queen can only further ensure that they take dominance of this 20 seconds to go, and Worldwide is just being hacked to pieces.
Oh, that is a big nano, and actually 2 kills. I mean, coming back in, that power boost isn't here, and that was during the rally that doesn't manage to find any value, and Doge actually is going to go down too, so Worldwide get another shot at this, and they actually have a couple of key ultimates to work with. They have a Rampage, they also have this Bob coming out from Tristan, and a Soundberry. Like, this is winnable now for Worldwide.
Overtime active, you got a few meters left to go. Gonna see them need to play perfectly in this last remaining push, as there will be no opportunity to regain positioning since the spawn advantage is now in favor of Amplify. Nice Jagged Blade to bring them in. Rampage looking for the execute. All of them in line. Bob's gonna come in too. Serve it up, big Omnic Butler. I'm needing some hors d'oeuvres with this map completion as they finalize it and are able to get it in overtime.
I mean, it was scary for Worldwide there for a bit that they like looked so convincing on those first 2 rounds and then got mega stalled like by third, but they managed to like complete the map, which is like, I think if you're looking at them, they're like, okay, it's what they deserve, but also if you're Amplify, you're like kind of kicking yourself because you put up such a fantastic defense for like 4.5 minutes, and then just at the very end, like, it just cracks in one certain way, and you just get completely rolled over, and that's just unfortunate for Amplify, who are really, I think, playing well on the defensive end, but the swaps that Worldwide made eventually paid off because they made them relatively quickly enough to where they were able to get those key ultimates and force it down.
And it was like a breaking point. It was almost like this false sense of security, because you can see in the tail end of these replays that every time Amplified was in this forward position, playing in the small room, Tap taking that upper angle, they were always playing a little, I think, too aggressive. Not to say the aggression is bad, but it was just finally, sooner or later, it was eventually going to break.
Yeah, I mean, it was really hard to, like, kind of, I get that, like, the momentum is like a thing that's very hard to like get out of, where it's like, look, we're winning all these fights like so close, we're popping off, they're not really getting any footholds, and then you go just like a little bit too over aggressive where it's like pulse bombs available, there's a focusing beam that ends up killing you, and then like it kind of just all falls apart right there, right? So I think that it's just unfortunate for Amplify that they weren't able to hold that defense, but if you're Worldwide, you're definitely like wiping your brow because you completed the map, which is what you want. You at least want another chance at this map, as we'll go into the defensive end for Worldwide and Amplify on the attack. Not really anything changing here. Again, it's going to be looking at those Winstons, seeing how they can posture for that position on the high ground, as well as the poke coming in from Tap and Amadou. Amadou on the defensive end should have a little bit of an easier time finding angles with these sticky bombs, so Tap has to play a little bit carefully with the rest of Amplify.
Moment of reprieve for the time being until the BPM start to skyrocket. Winston v. Winston on the upper position. The catwalk going to be held, though, by Worldwide. Amplify respecting that spatial awareness and understanding. As you do have the reposition again. Bolt support's close. Nice sleep to land inside the barrier. Doge going to take a nap skis down below as there's a follow-up with the focusing beam, and all the while in the front, they're withstanding the Winston. PGE goes down to the flank.
And I think one of the things that I'm liking really about what Amadou is doing specifically in this matchup is that Amadou is putting a ton of focus into Sawhill. Like, every time Sawhill is going in, there's always like sticky bombs on Sawhill, or sticky bombs on Doge rather. And on the other end, Tap is kind of playing on the back foot a little bit. Tap is following Amadou wherever he is, but not able to secure those kills.
Not at all. So we do see now with 2 minutes and 50 seconds, still some time to work with at the moment. Worldwide is feeling very comfortable. Waiting to see how this engagement is going to pursue. Tap getting Ooh, a little aggressive on the backside as you have PGE flanking in. Separated for the moment. Duplicate again onto the Onyx. Goes for the sleeve. This is now just a field day kind of game for Amadou on the back on this Echo. Constantly looking for that value to take down, especially with the Bionade. But this has been such a long, drawn-out neutral that at this point, Worldwide is going to play what they play well, and it is that neutral fight.
And you can see that. And it's actually committed onto Tap, but Tap doesn't find any value. Actually, Amadou does end up going down to Doge, but all the while, the backline ends up going down for Amplify, and Rich, I mean, the time bank is still dwindling really hard here. Sawhill's going to be able to get out with the Primal Rage, and it just feels like it's falling apart a little bit for Amplify as soon as they end up going in. There's the nice stick. Actually does take down Sawhill, so without the Winston here, there is a potential for Amplify to regroup and aggress onto this point, but and I think if you're Worldwide, you need to probably give up a couple of ticks just to make sure Sawhill can get back in.
And this is the first of many breadcrumbs that they're going to have to find on their pathway to taking this position. Pulse gets both of them! Tristan! Oh my, I'm pretty sure that Power Boost didn't get far enough away from Buddy and looking at their ally saying, what'd you do to me, bro?
That's 3 for Tristan. The rally is committed as well from Redix. That means there's no way back into this for Amplify, and a minute and 20 seconds is all that's left for them at the current moment. Amplify have a Primal Rage to work with. They also have this rally. PGE, though, one clips Amadou, who I think was on the low ground there. Maybe just a little bit too over-aggressive, not respecting the potential tracer damage if you see the replay of that double stick.
Loving to see it. Oh, wait, here it is. We might be able to get it. Is there the pickup, the read position? Actually, all right, no, it's okay. We're gonna go back to the convincing remaining portion of this with 60 seconds now down below. Nice recovery by PGE, getting out of there just in time to stay alive. Doge gets the counterplay onto the back line. Unfortunately, Nolan can't survive long enough. This is an easy distance gain, especially because now there's a last-minute adjustment. You do have the Somber play more for desperation, but, you know, at this point, they've been able to take it, now look to move into the next one.
Yeah, really good. I mean, zoning coming out there from Amplify, from Doge in particular, who just used that Primal Rage, not as like a way to get kills necessarily, but just as a way to zone the entirety of Worldwide off the point. And Amplify, take a sigh of relief here. Very difficult offense so far for them, but now they get that second chance to start moving through third. And we have to remember that, I mean, if they finish with like over a minute, this is only drawable for them, right? So there is that potential for them to have the momentum to really move forward, especially now when you have this duplicate coming in again from Tap and you can control this high ground like they're doing right now. Tap getting taken down very low, but nice healing coming out from the schools.
Oh yeah, that was so dangerous. Tap's just like, please, somebody help me, please. So you have now, again, the Somber play contributing in this, already having the EMP, mind you, from making that subtle switch. Payload has actually gotten quite a bit of distance as well, since there's nothing really to combat against it. And now with this other takedown onto Tristan, I'm so interested in how this is going to unfold. Beautiful takedown with the nano boost. Look at it collapse onto the second. Sleep, unfortunately, does come through. No barrier available to counteract it, since it was used on the initial jump to the high ground to eliminate that other support play. But Primal Rage active, does go in for the melee, mid-air jump, Tap eliminated, 2 minutes to go, and Worldwide is actually able to claim this and recover.
I mean, they're able to come back into this fight where it seemed like it was completely won for Amplify there, where Tap goes into the back line with the nano, is able to take down the support line, but that dive from Sawhill just created so much space and separation that there really wasn't a way to take a full fight and full advantage of those numbers for Amplify, who now come back into this one, still have those DPS ultimates online. They need to be big, but the great equalizer, EMP here from Amadou.
Clips 2, Doge is down. PGE at least is managing to escape for the time being, but it won't be long for the world. The recall gets them out with a pulse bomb that goes wide, doesn't quite land. Sawhill again hyper-focusing Tap and not allowing them to prevail.
Which is so weird because it's Winston, right? Winston usually isn't kind of seen as like things that, you know, can negate Ferris, negate Echoes, but Sawhill just has the number of Tap, it feels like, throughout a lot of this one. Amadou going on to another hero. It feels like Amadou has played 4 different heroes right now. It's the Widowmaker at the very end to see if he can get that one-shot potential.
That would be massive in these 55 seconds to eliminate that. The rally now active. Redix going to give support and coverage to Worldwide, but Sawhill not close enough. Sawhill barely able to keep alive for the moment. The healers are looking to rotate back in, but Doge instantly hyper-focuses the Widowmaker, so it's not really going to bring any value into this. Tap with the duplicate now onto the Ana to give that extra healing. Also the denial of healing if they can land that nade on the high ground. Sawhill having to play their life so carefully as there's just under 2 meters. Amplified able to take this one and finally reach the last checkpoint.
Yeah, I mean, the Widow pick is just like, it was very much an all or nothing thing where it's like, if you can get like one pick, maybe like it's good, but it's very difficult to play that hero against like a very confident dive composition like we're seeing from Amplify. We're seeing the stats from Tap, who has been really, really impactful so far, especially getting all the resources that he has been and really getting it over the line for Amplify, who have 4 ultimates here in this next fight. And Worldwide made a lot of wholesale swaps. They aren't going to have enough to match.
Big shout already used. There is no way that it's going to be Sahil getting out of there.
That was a Nano Lucio.
Yeah, that was a nanoed Lucio, staggered, slept, and deleted. This is now starting to unfortunately fall apart here for Worldwide.
Yeah, I mean, they need to... I think they're going to be able to hold before the minute, or like after the minute goes down. They need to be able to get someone on here, because if they don't... please tell me they're going to get someone here.
They're waiting patiently, but time
they were so
continuing
close.
to dwindle. They are able to get there just over 3 meters. Amadou gets taken down instantly, though. Tap is right there to deny it. There is no way that Worldwide is able to recover, and that is, again, just shy of 50 extra seconds that you're going to see here for Amplify to compete on the return side.
It felt so weird for Worldwide because like they looked really good on like their initial defense, but like some of the times when they get to these like last fight situations, like making the Widowmaker, yeah, like making the Widowmaker swap to me is just like, it feels very like all or nothing, right? Like we're gonna win here or else we're gonna get like momentum, and momentum's like a big deal in like matchups like this where we're gonna see that actually.
Oh, it was the dash. It was the dash.
Oh no, yeah, that's a bit of a blunder.
So the comment that I said, Buddy being like, "Why you do this to me?" I was right.
But like they had like a lot of good moments for Worldwide, like keeping the Sombra I think was like fine, but like as soon as you like go over to like a Widowmaker and like make all of these swaps consistently with your composition, it feels like you're losing kind of the foundation of what like brought you here, right? Because they were doing really good on a lot of their defenses. Same thing with their offense, right? Where they had those moments where like they were just rolling through first and second, and then they kind of got caught a little bit. Then they swapped at the very end with like 2 minutes, but which I felt like it was a little bit too much swapping for me to really like keep that foundation of like what was working well for you just there.
Now 60 seconds, a very minimal amount of time to work with. Again, with how we've talked about the neutral fight, able to play to their strengths and know how to work their way through difficult situations, Worldwide has a chance to do so, and they're actually going to take a very different look on this.
I don't remember the last time I've seen a Reinhardt without a Lucio. I don't remember.
I know, right?
This is very just like, Winston, I dare you to dive, right? This is like,
yeah.
you can't hold space against the composition because Kristen's just going to sit here with those Hellfire shotguns and completely blast Doge whenever he tries to go up there. And also Amadou being onto this Cassidy, I actually like this decision because it's pretty good against the Tracer, but also against Tap.
Yeah, this is a Worldwide flavor. Tap, though, unfortunately, getting the Kiriko. Redx not going to be able to join in and give assistance, but they've gotten rid of Doge. Their frontline damage is huge when they get close in proximity, and now Worldwide has the numbers advantage. If they can keep this sustainability and cover their supports that remain, they're able to pull it off. What a beautiful job for the assistance on the support line, not letting Nolan die.
I mean, this is the thing, right, where it's like Worldwide have some of these like really good ideas for compositions. Like a lot of the time when they do make some like weird, interesting swaps, like here, bring out this composition with the Reinhardt, not bringing a Lucio, but just having the Baptiste going directly onto point, and then against Amplify's composition, right? There's no one that can get to the Baptiste. It would have to be the Winston, but then the Winston just can't be on point, and it's a very difficult situation to be in. So Worldwide take first point, and anything they get from now on is absolutely great.
Yeah, and they make this adjustment again now onto the Sombra, so that they do have the EMP for very significant, controllable fights later on down the line, which we've seen be generated quite quickly here already. A nice zoning ultimate as well, going to be coming out here with that capacity that they can bring into this. Now, turn in the corner, Sawhill up front, amplification matrix active, Pulse comes in, swivels the shield, unfortunately still gets a pickup onto one, could not get it far enough away from their ally, and the immortality field isn't enough to withstand it, but they're still holding on to this, contention coming through, Vortex down below, looking for the pin, focusing beam across the rooftop, and no one is able to get in there. The charge unfortunately takes them off the point, but that leaves the point unattended.
And that was a great ante there at the very end from Amplify to be able to completely break that fight open. Also another good pulse run from PGE, taking down that one healer, just leaving kind of the Baptiste is the only one to be able to heal, but then it's just like very mentally RAM intensive to be able to heal that much against Discord, against Ana, against Tracer, against Echo. So good defense, at least for the very least on that second point from Amplify, who, because I mean, if that fight goes like a little bit longer, there are some very key ultimates that are coming in from Worldwide that could have completely blown that one up or over, and they would have gotten second. But I think for Worldwide, you're like, okay, we got first. Like, that's about as much as we could ask for.
They got to be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not only that is they were able to maneuver around that anchoring point, which we see this corner also being very challenging for some teams. If you can get just enough picks or find the timing on some of those takedowns, you can really look to hold that corner position before getting towards that second angle where you can play around the bus.
As we see what Amplify will bring into the table on their attack. A minute, 49 seconds for them. Worldwide on the defense end, not going for the Echo, instead just immediately bring in that Ashe, and Tristan is going to have to deal, I think, a lot of the time with tap in the air. We saw Madu on the Cassidy was able to do it quite effectively. If Tristan could do the same and like just negate a little bit, just put pressure onto tap, that's going to be really, really beneficial to the team.
Yeah, even if it's not elimination, just making them play so much more defensively, because when they get that free reign, they have done so much. The stickies specifically that they can find in these narrow choke points or small angles have been so critical for the value brought and also getting a massive boost into their ultimate percentage. Nice Bionade though, comes in at least onto Buddy, but they are able to work through it. Still holding on. They're harassing down below, drawing Worldwide away. There is an escape now. Nice pickup though. PGE down. That will give favoritism for Worldwide for now.
I love what Sawhill is doing when these engagements are coming in from Doge. Sawhill is just always trying to check Tap on the other side, and Tap hasn't been able to get the amount of value that he's wanted, but he is close towards that duplicate, which is going to be a big deal. 60 seconds less left. There's also the nano from Buddy, and we've seen a lot of the time from Amplify so far, they like to throw that one directly onto Tap and just let him work that backline.
And the other thing that's really nice is there hasn't been enough influx of damage that it's breaking Sawhill's shield enough for them to even really get any value or chip damage. But now, down below, PGE looking for an angle to find somebody. They're across the way, diving in, goes for the clip plus the melee. Dynamite's going to eradicate them from that position. Tap now has to force the duplicate onto the Winston, diving into this beautiful play as well, completely stifling that engagement coming in from PGE. But now as they're back online, close proximity, looking to get and enter into this fight so they can assist. The Primal Rage is gained with only 2 seconds to go, so they get a couple of juggles and actually nullify the sleep. But Sawhill is still gaining 2, counteracting and taking bold support.
Yeah, Sawhill was able to get in the backline, and oh no! Doge dies 98% to Primal Rage. That's an absolute disaster. I don't know if there's going to be a way back in for Amplify at this point.
Can anyone even contest it? They keep it into the overtime. It's got to be a triple dash reset coming in from PGE back onto the point, but no, they don't get it. Worldwide has really stepped up here and has now put themselves in a position to finding a map point here over Amplified.
I mean, they've won the same amount of maps they've won in the first 4 rounds in this series
right.
alone. Like this Worldwide team, I love how they're doing it as well, where they're just bringing out some things that there's no way Amplify is ready, right? Amplify's not expecting Reinhardt attack, Kiriko Baptiste, Ashe, I think it was, Cassidy Reaper.
Yeah, Cassidy.
You're not expecting that. You're not expecting a complete anti-dive comp on Busan. Like, I love that Worldwide is having these moments where they're just like, let's just try something new, because if we mirror, we know that there's potential that we might not win, especially off the back end of like what we saw at the end of their first attack, right? Where they got held for like 3 minutes just kind of running against the wall of the mirror. I love that Worldwide is making these decisions actively to like switch things up a little bit, play some different things, and catch Amplify off guard.
Well, and the big thing about that too is because there is such a heavy emphasis on what, this Winston tactic is. Everyone is so comfortable with it. And when you throw these curveballs into it and play it not only just like well, but proficiently, like they really understood how to dynamically adjust into this. And especially that transition from that upper high ground to the lower ground, where they could then start getting that Cassidy with the hit scan, making sure that they're covering their supports. Really well done all around. Cannot wait to see how this third map is going to unfold. But before we get into that third map, we're going to be heading to a short break. So don't go anywhere, because we'll see you on the other side.
You like solving problems. Problems like how to stop that tracer from deleting your backline. I know just what you're thinking. You'll bring a turret. But y'all can't solve all your problems by simply bringing an extra friend to the battlefield. For that, you need the Contenders Torbjorn skin. Solve your problems by connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. After that, watching Overwatch Contenders Summer Series will contribute to your drops progress, letting you claim your Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin. Even your turret gets an upgrade. Warning, the Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin does not come with extra or upgraded turrets. Build instructions will not be provided. By picking Torbjorn, you waive a claim towards any destroyed turrets. No refunds, no exchanges, and no take-backsies.
Welcome back, my friends. We are here to continue on, and during the break, me and Kenobi talked about our homemade pizzas, which are great in cast iron pans, for all those wondering if what our discussions are between games or between matches. So,
okay, well, we should tell them what it is. So. We should tell them, like, how to do it.
So, yeah, so that's the thing, is I don't have an oven. So I have a cast iron pan, and Kenobi does too. But what we do is we actually have, like, our homemade dough that we put it in with a little bit of olive oil, and then you set it there to cook it. But he actually puts it in the oven to heat it up so it's hotter. I can't do that.
Yeah. You put the cast iron in there at like 450 for like 15 minutes, let it heat up, take it out, put olive oil, put some dough in the pan, put the cheese on the sides to get that nice like crispy golden outside with the cheese, and then throw it back in there, and it's totally fine. But enough of us giving you recipes for pizza. We got a series on our hands between Worldwide and between Amplify here, which is, I mean, Chad had it at 70-30 for both these teams going into this, with Amplify being heavily in the lead. And Worldwide, again, I think with the way that they've been playing with these like niche compositions that I don't think a lot of people have been expecting, it's catching people off guard, and it's
really is.
Most certainly caught Amplify off.
Yeah, as we do have confirmation of our third map that we're entering in. This is where Worldwide had problems before. We'll see if they can rectify it this time as we go to Watchpoint Gibraltar.
They did on Numbani. I didn't see that many antis. Like...
No. They really haven't. And I think that's one of those things again. I think it's a combination of the opponent that they're specifically going against and also the way that they've been able to adjust. But the biggest thing is the adjustment factor. Like, they have a window of time right now where they can refine those problems at which that they've had so that they can play more proficiently against these teams that, let's say, might not be in the upper echelon at the moment. Amplify is still a very, very cohesive team, really understanding in their play and methodology. And if they can really start to, again, gain this stride as a newer team that we see in this Contenders Summer Series, I'm really looking forward to seeing how these next couple of games for them are going to go.
It'd also be great for them to like wrap it up here in a 3-0, right? It's a lot of momentum, especially beating a team who's kind of like fighting with you for those last couple of spots, getting that first win on your belt as well. That's also going to be a great momentum booster for this team. So, and if you can do it in a 3-0 fashion, also even the better for them at that point. So we'll see as we go into our next map, which is going to be Gibraltar, how it's going to end up. I think this is a map where it's like kind of, we've seen some like weird things on this map sometimes. I remember specifically someone playing Roadhog last year. Did not work out at all.
No.
This is a map where it's kind of like you probably have to play like Winston or Diva. Like, high ground control is so hyper important on this map that just kind of letting that go and kind of handshaking that we're not going to be able to put pressure on the high ground is how they would revert back to just like what happened to them with neutral, where it's just like anti-nade, 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 pressure from the high ground, and then they just kind of can't move for a lot of the time. So we'll see if that's something that they rectify here on a map like this in Gibraltar, where I would expect this is where we do see like Winston Mirror coming to the forefront.
Well, and the big aspect too of this is that we've not seen any adjusted swaps. It's kept both rosters from the previous one, which is something to also keep a really watchful eye on as well, not wanting to reside away from it, since both Amadou and Power Boost really brought a lot in that previous game on Numbani. So Watchpoint Gibraltar still having so much high ground that you can play with, a significant amount of little pockets across really the entirety of the map in and of itself. So I'm thrilled to see what they can also continue to do, since they really had a moment to warm up after that last game.
Yeah, I think Amadou also coming into the lineup brings a lot of difference in terms of the hero pool. We saw Amadou play like I think 5 different things in that last map. The Widowmaker is something that I, probably would have liked to have not seen in that situation, but like here on a map like this in Gibraltar, where Widowmaker does have like a lot of viability since almost like the inception of this game, where like these long range sightlines are very, very impactful. And good for long range hit scans. Like that's going to be good. Ash is potentially good here. I think Echo is something we could also see because of the fact that you have that infinite skybox to work with in a lot of these, or on first and third. Second might be a little bit harder to deal with, but we can get to there. We'll get to that when we get to, if we get to second, I should say. So you can definitely be
absolutely
like this.
You really can, and things can get extremely startling towards those last couple of meters, and we've seen, even when it came to Worldwide, I mean, in the last instances, on both occasions, they've been barely able to trigger it into this docking bay, so we'll see as they enter in on the defensive side first, residing with that Winston play, and Tristan back onto the hit scan of the Ash.
By the way, I love the redesign of this map. Like the small
it's so good.
Going into second.
It's so good.
Makes it so much better to play. I can't tell you how many times I remember like in Overwatch 2, I mean Overwatch 1 even, where it's just like you get first like super quickly, and then you just spend like 6 minutes just trying to get through these tiny doors, and then just everyone's spamming you down, and you're just getting hit by Hanzos and Ashes. But now you kind of can avoid that a little bit.
3, 2,
As now we have these doors open, Amplified coming out the gate, looking for the TP positioning. That is a massive amount of damage onto Doge on the dive in. Barely gets out, dropping below. Nice assistance from Buddy to keep him topped up as the payload now pushes forward, but Worldwide residing back onto that high ground to see how they continue to negate.
You can see both these teams opting in for that Ash, so it is going to be kind of like a battle between these dynamites who can get the most value. Also, it's going to be important for when these dives come in from both these Winstons. Like, is there going to be that coach gun available to them? But that's a lot of damage. Is there going to be enough healing? Buddy's doing their absolute best, but can only heal either Tap or PGE. Tap unfortunately ends up going down, and without the Tracer, it's going to be difficult for Amplify to move forward here. But trade it back in for Tristan. That means that he has no concussion anymore against that long-range hit scan.
It was one of those moments of who do I care about more? when
everyone has a favorite trial,
I know, right?
You gotta pick.
It's okay. We all know now. The whole public knows in the audience, as we do see some sustainability here coming through. It is going to be Worldwide playing this high ground, as this payload is still halted underneath in the car wash.
We'll see who gets control of this high ground right now, because it is going to be very important for Ash, specifically Tristan, really in a position right now to be in this fat matchup. But you see Sawhill trying to juggle here on this high ground against Doge, and if Sawhill can continue to hold control of this high ground, it's going to limit the ability for Amplify to move forward as aggressively as they might like to.
And Power is still getting really chipped away on this corner as they continue to have that shield up to block. Tap goes down. Big headshot coming in from Tristan to deny that extra momentum underneath, forcing back Worldwide. Gets a second and is just having free reign here.
I really love this positioning as well from Worldwide and like what they were doing. Sawhill deserves a lot of credit as well, because holding those blue boxes means that Amplify can't rotate their team around to just shoot directly into that small server area. As the pulse bomb from Amadou kills Power Boost, that means the fight's going to take a little bit longer to start here on this defensive. Oh my god, Amadou's like 1 health. Finish the kill. That's very, very spooky, but no harm, no foul, and the car will stay here. And 2 minutes left, Rich. That's all that Amplify is going to have to work with, but they have a lot of key ultimates to bring to the table in this next fight.
Yeah, this is looking somewhat dire. Amplified really needs to play this to the T, manage these ultimates effectively, since Worldwide does have quite a bit to counteract themselves. Really only down 1, with Amadou being at 26%, so it's a 5 versus 4 bank in just a few seconds between both. Amplified still looking for some chip damage potentially. Value-driven engagement. There's a nice coach gun to knock back. but the duck still comes in. Sawhill eliminates Buddy, which is massive. And then a Bionade lands on the front line. Everything falling apart here right now for Amplified as they're attempting to recover. Nolan goes down, so there is a chance to try and punch back into this. This is just a scrappy engagement from the two.
Yeah, Bob is committed. Tristan trying to live as much as he can here. Actually, he's able to hit the dynamite. Maybe he can find a way to take out Doge. But actually, here comes Sawhill with the primal rage.
Gets the chase, picking him up, taking him down. 55 seconds to go. Now you just gotta have Worldwide stabilize here, not overcommit to this, and they should be able to deny this before the checkpoint.
Ballspark from Tap ends up going wide, so they don't find anything. Huge anti-Sawhill, taking down incredibly low, but it's actually returned.
What a beautiful counterplay coming in from the remaining players of Worldwide to deny it. Now with 35 seconds to go, there's so much that Amplified has lost in that.
Oh, you can see PG just kind of desperately moving over towards the Sombra just to offer a little bit more of that utility. See if you can find maybe someone getting a bit too over-aggressive. Pulse Bomb doesn't manage to hit the back line, so that means that now we're just kind of in an even fight here. No real ultimates to talk about. It's just going to have to happen in the neutral.
Amadou saying that's a nice boulder to stick this on. As a flanking position, what a re-engagement. The pincer maneuver that comes in from Doge. There's a sleep to try and buy time, but it's still favoring Amplified as they push these last few meters. No one can contest, and that was a absolutely perfect engagement from Doge.
That was such a cute little wraparound as well coming in from Amplify where they just really, I think at that point, try to take control of that high ground. They know that Tristan might be a little bit vulnerable in that scenario. They instantly take down Tristan. That means there's a lot of damage fallout that's lost. And a great anti-nade onto the backline from Buddy basically completely turns that fight on its head. And now Amplifier gifted another 2 minutes in their bank to try and work with here as Doge, being taken down incredibly low, will be healed back up by Buddy, who is going to now have that nano boost and can throw it onto that Winston.
You can see Tap continuing to play close to the payload, getting a little bit counteracted by Amadou, but needs to regroup. High ground position engaged. Amplified ready with the primal rage to toss it into the mix. This is very scrappy once again down below. Narrow position. Redix cannot leave. There is a giant man of science in the way, just going to deny it. It will be a minute 35 seconds, and this is a real chance to accrue some extra time if they can get these last few meters.
Yeah, Redix was like, oh, I should be totally fine here. I've got Rally, it's just their supports. Oh, wait, there's a Primal Rage Winston behind me. I am not long for this world, and there's going to be a touch here from Worldwide to try to get back onto this point.
I mean, we'll see. 2 meters, not very much more to gain. There is great resilience from Worldwide to keep this contested. Continue to dwindle the time. Stick denied. Block doesn't get it. Tristan finds 2. Worldwide climbs back up. They may have gotten knocked down, but they're looking up, not looking down. So that means they can get right back up.
Oh, and with where the card is right now, that means this is going to be absolutely last fight for both of these teams. See, Tristan knows there's a Tracer behind. Tap is somewhere in that backline. Dragon Strike available for Tristan. Throwing this onto cart could just zone the entirety of Amplify away and potentially find a pick if someone is not with the rest of their team. But that rally should be a big deal from Power Boost. And also, if Buddy can find a way to get to the Nano, that could change the outcome of this fight.
This is like a deja vu moment. Tristan really stepping up previously on this map. Dragon Strike across the way, gets one and picks up PGE. Oh my goodness, Tristan got the play of the game last time on broadcast as is fighting for it again.
Yeah, Tristan is just absolutely pounding right now with this Hanzo, and I don't know if Amplify's going to be able to get a touch. Is anyone even going to be there? It would have to be Tap, it feels like, or the Winston. Doge is trying to get there. Doesn't manage to do so. Whip Shot was going to be there anyways, I think, if he was even close, so... Amplify, unfortunately, aren't able to get to second, but Worldwide, Tristan saves the bacon of his team, and now they're just about 2 points, essentially, away from taking a 3-0 lead and winning the series, taking their first one of Summer Series, Rich.
Would you say that it's more like Applewood bacon or like maple?
Okay, okay, but like, isn't Applewood just like regular bacon? Is that not?
It's like it's like a smoked bacon versus like a maple.
What makes it Applewood? Like, is it just like?
It's like the wood chips, isn't it? Where like they put it in a smoker and it kind of takes up like the if I'm not mistaken, right? Watch, somebody's gonna add us and be just like, you have no idea.
I don't know
what
how
I'm talking about.
Died, but like, maple bacon.
No, that's crazy.
Maple
yeah,
bacon.
I would say.
Have you had chocolate covered bacon?
I'm not, because I'm never gonna put chocolate anywhere near bacon. I know, I'm sorry. As we get back into...
You're so bougie. Oh, I won't put chocolate on bacon. I won't put pineapple on pizza.
Hey. I'd put gold leaf on a lot of things. I could be bougie if I want.
That doesn't taste anything. The gold leaf doesn't taste like anything.
Hey, it tastes like it feels, which is golden. I don't know. We're going to hop back in here with 10 seconds to go. Amplified on the defense.
Don't lie to me. You've never had gold leaf.
I actually have. It's mostly... We'll talk about that later. But we're going to be getting into this now. It's going to be worldwide on the attacking position. Going to be using that teleporter as well. Taking a different outlook here. And a Bionade actually still lands. Nolan getting extremely low.
Yeah, they're trying to maneuver Tristan around.
Yeah, they really are. As now they get an opening to try and push forward and see how Amplify is going to respond.
Widowmaker here from Tristan. I mean, the thing about the Widowmaker that's going to be good here is you have that ability to use that grapple hook and just, if someone peeks out their head once, you can instantly take it off. You don't necessarily have the same utility as something like an Ashe does, but you do have, on the offensive side, a little bit of an easier time being able to find angles to work with, especially if there's not a Widowmaker on the other side.
You can see Tristan can't quite land the shots. A Bionade comes in bypassing the shield, which is easy for Tap to just take them down, and now you see this dive that's completely engulfing Worldwide on the bridgeway, and they are sent packing.
Yeah, that was really good patience from Amplify, where they just waited until Tap could kind of go around to the backside, be able to get behind that Widowmaker, and then execute the dive where they could like get that anti-nade in, get the Winston there as well, and then there was just really no way for the Widowmaker to live through that. And you can see Tristan, I mean, the experiment was a good idea. I think bringing in the Widowmaker at the start, you could potentially find one of those picks, but now going over to Ashe just to match a little bit with PGE, you haven't really lost anything in terms of your ultimate charge either, so the only thing really that you've lost is that time.
You can see how Amplified's still going to hold anchor on that position. Down below, though, Amadou looking to go 1-for-1 against the Tracer as the fight looks to ensue. Nice dive in forward, but doesn't quite land. 1-for-1 trade. But Buddy's brought down. Oh my goodness, Nano boosted Doge saying, I'm going to take names on all 4 of you.
Yeah, I mean, that was a sick ante from Buddy again, who's hit a couple of really impactful ones on this defensive end. 2 minutes is what we're looking for with Worldwide here, who have been stifled a little bit. I mean, you saw Tap and Amadou kind of juggling it out on the part just a little bit, but Tap has had Amadou's number completely in this TVT so far.
Yeah, and we'll see if there's an opportunity for Amadou to elevate themselves to counteract against it, but the pulse bomb advantage is here for Tap. Still sticking close and guaranteeing that there is no additional momentum, and this is a perfect place to continue holding it.
See Amadou and Tap doing each other.
Not skipping a beat. Now with Sawhill. Jumping down below, wants to collapse, gets the melee. Power boost is down. One support eliminated. The second needs to be close in proximity if they want to guarantee extra opportunity to gain space. Nice separation. Big partnership from Amadou as well. The match with Sawhill to force them away, giving distance and opportunity to push this cart, but nobody unfortunately can deviate away just yet. The cart is still residing where it's practically been this entirety as the Primal Rage comes out from Doge. Still juggling and knocking them back, has to now abandon ship since there's no real heals. Nice counteraction, the rally is active, the shield bash is there, gets the stun, but Sawhill manages to get the Primal in time, but that sleep only gonna last for a mere second as they juggle them enough to reach the checkpoint just under 2 meters. Bob actually pushed away! He juggled him back, but that bought just an ever enough seconds for Doge to get back onto it. The number still lighting up into the kill feed for Worldwide. All they have to do is focus down the remaining 3. Power boost specifically, Tristan does so in tow, and now they just need to get this last meter and guarantee with 3 into the docking bay.
3 minutes just to basically capture second, and that's going to be a series win for Worldwide here, who, I mean, really scrappy fight overall, but full credit to Worldwide's backline in particular for living through a very heavy engage from Doge. Doge was like in the backline trying his best to counter dive, but really good presence of mind from the supports to stay alive, and also I think from Tristan to be able to stay there and heal and force out Doge and force out the Primal Rage that really was used as a defensive thing more so than any type of engagement.
Very aggressive dive. Thankfully, nobody could capitalize on the Doge. Big bio power is down. Lights out. Nano boosted Sawhill coming in and chipping away at them, sawing away if we want to be specific. Pack now gets some space, but that's another fight win here, and Worldwide is in their last home stretch for this win.
Yeah, I mean, it's desperation time right now for Amplify. If they can hold here, it's going to be difficult for Worldwide to move forward, and Amplify do have the ultimates to work with too. They have a Nano, PG getting close towards that EMP, so there is a potential chance if Amplify can hold here that they will be able to mount a defense.
Tap has to get value with this, or it's going to be PGE getting that quick enough. 10% still to go. Nice pickup onto Nolan. So that opens this up. It's only Redx that can keep this team alive, so it's going to be a lot of evasion that needs to come in from Worldwide. The Primal Rage is slept for the moment, and there is still contention down below. Amplify does hold them back for the moment. Primal Rage active. Doge survives through the explosion. Sawhill so low. Can't get out. Hit by the Bionade. No healers are there to give them any assistance. Just under 3 meters. And Amplified holds on.
Oh my god, Doge gets taken down solo and actually is forced out. Power Boost is going to have to use Rally here maybe to get out of this one.
Nope.
Okay, no.
The shield was there and the dash can get them away.
Presence of mind. Ooh. Oh, Tap gets a nice pick on Tiana with the Pulse Bomb. This fight is so scrappy and back and forth here, but with only a minute left, Amplify didn't use a huge amount of ultimates there. They kept the EMP, which is a big one. They're also going to have a rally to work with to match the one coming in from Worldwide. You can see PGE just trying to scout, see what he can find off the back end as we look at the stick from Tap onto Nolan gets taken down. But Rich, I think with where the card is, this could potentially be the last fight that Worldwide gets.
Yep. We'll see how Sawhill's going to play this. Look at the sight line from Nolan down below, guaranteeing that they are topped up and withstanding any incoming damage. Rally active, Bob onto the point. Worldwide wants to secure this here, pushing forward. EMP onto 2. Tristan and Amadou able to withstand it, and nobody can collapse on it. The damage doesn't come through. Pulse bomb now for Amadou, gonna stick onto the Scientist. No, it goes wide because they're hacked as well, so they don't have as many dashes to reset. Hack still coming through. Nice bio onto Redx. It's going to be that nano boost as well onto Sawhill for the extra damage up top onto the catwalk, but a beautiful whip shot to drop them down below. Translocate out from PG. A bio nade lands. Sawhill's got to abandon ship. Doge gets the pick out. Buddy gets the assistance, but still Tristan up top. 3 damage. Chunking out with that magic dynamite. Now dashing forward, gets them picked out. PGE gets for 1, trades back and forth into the overtime. Tristan is about to cause a tremendous turnaround here. Can't quite land the final shot. Still holding on, dashing in. Pulse bomb gets him. Overtime is going to dwindle, but it fought enough for Sawhill. But there's Doge following in after taking down Nolan. Cap and Doge able to get enough to push them back. The Primal and the Hack won't be able to last for too long here. This is Amplified coming in big, wanting to deny them this completion. They will not go down without a fight. The overtime shall vanish as it brings us to another match.
What a scrappy fight at the end there. It felt like it could have gone either way. I thought Tristan had it with the positioning that was there, but Tap was able to move around so well on that cart, not taking the damage from the Ash on high ground or the Dynamites, manages to get the stick, and that's all she wrote. Amplify survived to fight another day, potentially start our reverse sweep from here.
Ooh, my. Are we going to see a deja vu last week? Are we going to do that right now?
I don't know if I can go through that again.
I mean, my heart can't take it. Like I've said before, I'm older. I need a cardiologist if that happens.
Yeah, if that happens again, I don't know where we go from here. We're just, we just might as well just continuously cash, because we just get like banger matches after banger matches there, and I think that this is one where this felt like Amplify like really starting to impress a lot more, especially with like kind of how they were rotating with these dives. Doge, I think, on these counter dives was looking good. The other thing I really liked about Amplify here was their macro decision making, where there were a couple of times, I think in those first 2 maps, where they used a lot of ultimates really in moments where they didn't have to. Now in a map like this, they were able to kind of keep cool heads, keep very key ultimates like EMPs, like nanos for those perfect times when they like needed them to win. Because if you get behind, especially with these compositions where like, you know, nano is so important, EMP is so important, primal, so if you're just using them kind of willy-nilly, you are going to end up losing and just fall behind in terms of that macro, and it's going to be disastrous.
And again, this is a momentum opportunity. Amplified able to pull it out despite the challenges that they had in front of them. You would have loved to see Worldwide close this out, not only just for the stats, but also for the confidence booster. So they cannot yet sit back in their chairs comfortably. They still have to keep their wits about them. And again, another map that's going to be coming up. We have, I think, a lightning fast response on where we're going, and that's going to be Coliseum.
Ooh, okay. This is interesting to me because we have seen Reinhardt be played by Worldwide. They did play it. There's rush potential. I think there is. I would imagine that's what they're gonna do, especially with Emmerin. I think coming back in the lineup, which we do, I think has been confirmed here. Emmerin's gonna be coming in for Tristan, and Emmerin was someone who played, I believe it was the May earlier on in the series. So maybe this is a rush angle for this worldwide team.
And we have an adjustment once again, swapping it. Tristan now going to be going out. We've got Emran coming in. So we get to see their face once more to play and looking to see if that can contribute to solidifying this and not allowing it to go the distance and denying us another glorious 5 map.
I mean, it feels like it's a curse for us to get those 5 maps.
Yo, hey, is that really a curse?
I'm here for it. Yeah, I mean, it might not even be a curse. It might be a gift, but I'm here for all these 5 map bangers that we usually get. I mean, we got them when we did Owl too. We always just got 5 mappers. So
absolutely.
I can't wait to see what kind of see from both these teams, because again, this is a map where I think that like early on when we saw Coliseum and Overwatch 2, like Reinhardt was like super important on a map like this. It kind of has always been a little bit more of a brawly style of map, more so than anything else. Like Ramatra is something that we see a lot on this map in particular. So is there going to be that Reinhardt look coming in from Worldwide that we saw a little bit earlier? Is there going to be kind of just like a handshake where they just go Ramatra or go Winston? That'll be something that I think determines this. And I think that now if Amplify is going to be going to a map like this, they have to be aware that like Reinhardt's going to be a possibility, especially because it's Coliseum.
Yeah, and just understanding how they're going to counteract against that, because this is probably one of the most possible neutrals of neutral map that you can play, because if you get the advantage and you reset back to the default, this is just Worldwide's map to flourish in, really.
I mean, you're definitely right there. I think that this is a map where the first pick usually like is incredibly impactful in terms of like determining the first fight, or like not even the first fight, but like probably just the win in general. Like a good amount of the time, like this one corridor, like that I call the podcast corridor at the start, is just kind of they just jockey for position. Whichever team gets a pick or makes a mistake first usually ends up losing that, and that's just a ton of momentum on a map like this, where especially when you're trying to get back into the game, you can always, if you're the defending team, just sit in that corridor and just reset and just wait patiently and just like force out ultimates or force time away because you're already in the lead.
And it's always really been that way because of just the architecture of that double wall there, and there's not really like an overhang that you can easily access. So it's so dangerous for you to take that flanking long angle, because you'll either get caught out, or it's too risky to separate from your team, or you're not contributing value, especially with what we see with a lot of Lucio play. They continue to maintain that wall position. They try and pepper in some damage. So there's a variety of things that we're going to see. But as we do have these doors open, I hold my breath. Will we see the Rhine? We're not going to see the Rhine. It's going to be a ram off.
Yeah, this is a ram handshake. I'm just hearing also when you're talking about the glass wall, I'm just hearing Spilo say, remove the wall. Just think about removing the wall. I always think about that when I look at this map. But here, as we start things off, I mean, this is going to be, again, kind of where we just have these two teams jockeying for a pick at the start. It is May and it is Sojourn, so they do have one pick potential between both of these heroes, right? May Icicles kind of don't have fall off. You can get a lot of, if you just did like a headshot onto like a backline member, it could cause a lot of damage, and with the amount of poke, it usually is guaranteed a kill. But yeah, we're just going to, I mean, this is just how it's going to be for a little bit. We're going to jockey for positioning. Maybe an anti-nade comes out to really just force a team to play a little bit more aggressively, but you won't see much beyond poking here, I think.
All I'm hearing is it's
been a minute already, so
I know, right? Elevator music, let's turn it on. Or you can like always tune into like your go-to songs. I would do like a go-to workout song.
When was the last time you listened to the radio?
Oh, I listen every day on the way to my work.
You don't listen to like your iPod or your like?
No, I do that when I go to the gym and on the way home. But in the morning, I just turn on like the early morning mixes and I just kind of like change it up a bit.
Okay, I can see that.
I'm also older, so I'm used to
You are
radio.
older, yeah. You still have your cassette tape player?
Hey, yo, bro! It's in a box somewhere.
I knew it.
As we do continue to see these two pepper away at each other consistently for this neutral position, no one yet gaining any meterage.
The big thing is that Emeren is light years ahead right now in Blizzard, but that's a nice anti. Like, I mean, maybe it can be capitalized on with the nano boost here. But actually, PG finds Adamu. That's a huge pick.
Yeah, they didn't get the healing on Adamu so much quick enough, really, for them to be able to come back in at full health, which is why they were able to get the body onto that. And now pushing back, beautiful sleep to slow this momentum forward as they hold on to this. It's actually still neutral for the moment, but with the pickup from Tap onto Sawhill, you've lost your tank, no more ability to deny incoming damage. This is now finally a win for Amplify.
Also, Emeren used the Blizzard there, and that might be a bit of a tricky situation as Yanti comes in, getting kicked down low. I mean, Ramatra's dead, but I don't know if there's a way back into this. I mean, maybe there's a way if they're able to take down Tap before Tap can get this Blizzard off, but beyond that, this is going to be Worldwide having to retreat here and giving up their advantage, and now Emerin is dead, so it's definitely a fight retreat for Worldwide.
Yep, they need to try and reset their bearings, find an opportunity to stabilize. Oh no, the separation here is going to put insult to injury. This is going to be so bad if they get the pickup onto Redx, who's just skirting away, barely escapes.
And I mean, throughout all of that, Amplify still have not their amplification matrix. They still have this overclock. They still have as well Annihilation. And the big thing is that Redx is going to have a sound barrier to, kind of go into this fight. I think they need to play this like a little bit aggressively. Like use sound barrier aggressively, send in Amadou with overclock, and then just try and win the fight.
Top rail shot that you saw come whizzing by overhead, couldn't quite land with this overclock active. No one in sight. Everyone's just like, no, let's just
on the flank
back a little bit. Oh no! You've got Doge coming in with a melee attack, and now the overclock shall return. PGE gonna come in and clean up and take names, putting you on speed dial.
Oh, I mean, that's also a little bit of a boomer thing.
Oh, come on!
What, you don't text anymore? No one calls anymore.
Don't judge my pager life. I don't know what you're talking about.
Worldwide, unfortunately, we're not able to take that fight, but Amplify, I mean, really, the flank from PGE was absolutely huge there with the Nano as well. Overclock Nano, a combination we haven't seen too much of, throughout the history of this game, but, it does just absolutely wreck fights if you are able to get it. So Amplify have a comfortable lead, and this is what I was talking about, right, where it's if you lose a fight, you can just retreat back to this neutral here, just poke it out. Amplify knows they have an advantage, so now it's all on Worldwide to try and be the ones to initiate.
Heavy aggression coming in from Sawhill in the back. Nice Blizzard to lock down Tap, get the advantage, but on the counter side, can Doge do the same? No, they cannot. This is Worldwide able to finally break the defensive hold that Amplified has had, returning back to the neutral, and now can start looking over the horizon, but they should not allow PGE to continue gaining this value.
Yeah, that was an Annihilation 2 used by Doge, so probably going to want to have that one back. But without Amadou in this fight, there's not a lot of damage potential from Worldwide, and PGE is just left by himself, just completely taking over this lobby right now.
This is absolutely turning the game around. It's something I was so concerned about. Again, you saw the initial pick, but then drawing back, PGE dashes forward, is taking this front line so aggressively, just approaching this overclock.
Overclock is going to be a big thing here, and Amplify going to do the smart thing, just try and retreat it out, knowing that they have the space to work with. Redx is absolutely blown up, and here comes the overclock.
Tick, tick, boom! The timing is now. Amplified going to elevate themselves once again, and PGE being the necessary component to overwhelming Worldwide and sending them packing.
I'm gonna do what Hurix did. Someone is deadlifting right now. I'm not gonna tell you who, but I think it's probably pretty obvious right now.
I have absolutely no idea.
I don't want to curse
the
it.
Stats in front of me.
I don't want to curse it though, because I mean, this is just an incredible sojourn performance from PGE. I mean, everywhere PGE is going, it feels like every rail shot is going to be a kill. As we're back into the fights here, Amadou is just completely foregone the Sojourn battle and is just going Reaper to try and win the thing.
And look at how far Doge is playing, keeping them near their spawn and holding this bridgeway. The Coalescence even finally able to stifle that presence forward. They guarantee the checkpoint here, and that's massive for Amplify.
Yeah, I don't hate this idea from Worldwide where it's okay, I would actually like to see teams do this a little bit more, where it's clearly the Sojourn matchup is just not going to go in our favor, right? PGE is just on one. There's no way we're going to be able to win the mirror. Let's switch up our composition a little bit and just try and brute force our way through the front. That's the only way we can come back into this one, because with that, if we just, stick in the Sojourn matchup, it just feels like we're going to lose.
Now pushing into this, the Annihilation primed and ready from Sawhill, wants to try and buy as much time before committing this to gain the extra distance. Now it is active behind the wall, slept for the moment, block in addition, repositioning around the gelato stand. He gets a pick up with those fists ablazing, force them back, gain some distance, and now actually have the opportunity to reach this checkpoint since there was such a stagger.
And the swap has absolutely worked perfectly so far. Doge has not been able to play the game since Worldwide has made this swap over to a much more front-loaded damage type, especially with the fact that you can use wall from Emerin, and Reaper just sits in front of Doge with shotguns and instantly kills him. But here comes Amplify trying to recontest your Death Blossom after ready for Amadou.
Oh no! Denies it. The boot comes in. It's just enough damage to deny the Death Blossom. That would have been absolutely critical for Worldwide. They're pushing it. Are they gonna touch it? Can they get to the checkpoint? It's contested. Tap swoops in from on high, denying the position. There's the May wall to prevent anyone from coming close enough, but they have actually held this 2 minutes and 33 seconds. Are they going to be able to turn it back? They finally are able to and deny the advantage for Worldwide.
Buddy, absolutely. MVP slept the Coalescence there. If that Coalescence is still able to go through from Nolan, that fight could have looked completely different. Or Amplify would have had to commit even more ultimates to that one, potentially even that Annihilation, but Buddy comes in so super clutch. Again, it's Worldwide on the back end of an incredible Ana play, something that's been a theme for them when we've seen them on broadcast, and now Amplify 2 minutes still in the lead for them. Annihilation at ready for Doge.
Worldwide shy just over 2 meters as they push back into this. The Annihilation still being holstered for the moment. The Death Blossom could be available, goes in for the pickup, but Tap with the focusing beat after Amadou gets so low. Now they can retaliate against this, push it back past the neutral, and there's one last chance here for Worldwide to swap it over.
It has to be perfect here from Worldwide from here on out. I mean, they're going to try and stagger a little bit with Nolan, but it's not going to matter too much as Amplify will get this bot back over to the other side of the map. Worldwide, not really a lot to work with. It's going to be the Annihilation's going to be the biggest thing here, but Sound Barrier is available for power boost, so it's going to be able to blanket a lot of that incoming damage. Worldwide need to be perfect from here on out. They need to win 3 fights in a row, at minimum, I feel like, to try and get this one back in.
They've developed quite a bit since last we've seen is perfection on the list of things that they have done. Now the flanking maneuver, they do go in, nice damage onto power boost, but there's a double kill coming in from Doge. They overwhelm them. This actually could just be the nail in the coffin for Amplify to enter into a map 5.
Pulse Mom misses, doesn't manage to find anything. Tap is just trying to juke around here on this Tracer, will just end up retreating, and Worldwide get another chance to continue this map along. If they can maybe find some staggers here, they should get a little bit more of a chance to be able to push forward. But I think if you're Amplify here, you just try and get out as much as you can and then fight them here on the bridge while you have control of this high ground to work with, because you still have a huge ultimate advantage here if you're Amplify.
25 seconds plus an ultimate economy that is favored. Dropping down below, Tap goes in. Overclock! GG! This is going to be PGE just putting salt in the wound and wants all 5 in the kill feed!
Oh, PGE, I mean, stop it. They've got to have families on the other side for Amplify. That's going to be it. I think it's just a lonely Tracer from Amadou that can try and touch and progress over time. Not even going to make it there. We're going to map 5 after a absolutely Sojourn masterclass from PGE. Didn't manage to get the deadlift, but basically had it throughout the entirety of that map just until the very end, and going to get the play of the game. Not really shocking.
I'm sorry, they may have lost it, but they at least at one point had it, and that's all that matters. We're going to get a clear shot right now. Deadlift! Deadlift! Deadlift moment! My goodness. And Kenobi, we going back again. Where are we going? We going to map 5!
Map 5 again? I mean, this was just... It felt like, again, where, like, Worldwide, the last time we saw them on broadcast, it was, like, a lot of Ana, right, being, like, the thing that was, like, a thorn in their side. It felt like it was the same thing here. There were a lot of times where Buddy was getting an insane amount of value on this Ana, and that led for... I mean, I think that was basically what led PG to get a lot of this value coming in from the Soldier, right? Because the space that was created from those antis lets PGE really have that space to work with one as a Soldier.
Oh my. Kryptonite comes in once again from a different form. There are still supporting actors in this theatrical show that we are watching unfold. It's going to be Act 3 coming up, and I'm actually, I just love that we've had this continue to occur for us, because it just makes me just so much hopeful for, like, hey, how's today going to go at work? Oh, today's going to go great. We're going to hit a map 5, and we're just gonna have a thrilling engagement.
It's so weird because the last time we had map 5 too, it was like, oh, this one team like won both of the first 2 maps super convincingly. Then the other team came back in, and now we'll see if there can be that completion of a reverse sweep, or if we're gonna be ending up, happening what happened with Strix and Timeless that last time, where it ends up being a denial of a reverse sweep.
All right, so we're going to head to our intermission before this final act, so don't go anywhere, my friends, because we are looking to see who's going to be taking this one home.
Oh, hello! Fancy meeting you here. It's so nice to see ya. Are you ready to survive the wastelands? Then you'll need to bring your shotgun, your axe, and of course, your knife. For your sharp wit, if you get my drift. Hey, whoa. Hold on there. Don't forget to pick up your Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Yeah, gearing up is as easy as connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. And after that, watching the Overwatch Contender Summer Series will contribute to your drop progression, letting you claim your own wasteland-ready Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Oh, that's right. It's time to rampage. Now, get out there and slay with the Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Okay, take care now. See you in chat.
Welcome back, my friends. We are here. I've got my Junker Queen skin. That's amazing, but it's even more amazing to be here in another map 5 Kenobi. I'm pretty stoked, and we want to give you the good Overwatch, fam.
We're trying to get you the skins.
We're
trying to get them the skins. Honestly, that's what we're doing. I think we're trying to get them the skins here.
Just trotting in place. Just trotting in place.
You have way too much energy for like me.
It's because I get excited for this. Are you kidding me? Oh my god. But yes, map 5. We have reached another pinnacle moment. We have the same thing with EMEA, where it's like always the first games like go the distance, and we're going to be going into the frigid wastelands that is the Antarctic Peninsula.
Yeah, Antarctic Peninsula, a map where I think that it'll be interesting to see what these two teams bring to the table, specifically because of the fact that, again, this is a map where it's like you can have Winston in like one instance, I think on like sub level where it's like the best, but then like the other two maps it's like brawl. And based on Coliseum, there was a lot of brawl, and I think that worldwide, not worldwide rather, but Amplify really started shredding their stuff on that composition. And if PGE can continue to perform on the Sojourn like he was performing in that Coliseum map, this is going to be a pretty scary situation for worldwide to get reverse weapon.
And that's why I think we're going to see this substitution come in. We'll throw it here on the screen for you to see from worldwide. Tristan's now going to be residing back with the group for this final map to potentially counteract what PGE has brought to the table.
Tristan coming back, I think very much hit scan player, especially from what we were seeing, previously. The last time Tristan was in Tracer, I think as well, is something that Tristan has shown that in play, but I think that this is a matchup where this is a map where I would be like, yeah, this is where, unless it's like sub level, which looks like we're actually going to be starting out on.
Yeah, we're going to go first. Okay.
It's going to be mostly rush style of compositions. You can still play like rush style on sub level because of the fact that you can play Junker Queen here. I think that's something that's viable on a map like this, especially to counter Winston. But you have to be moving incredibly carefully, especially because Annas love playing against Junker Queens on this map, because if you don't have a shield, you can just backboard nades all day.
All you hearing is nothing but net.
No, but I said backboard, so you like.
I know. Well, you know. Well, okay. So think about it though. But is it really a backboard if you like hit the wall to hit them or like hit them? Because it's still technically you're hitting your target, which is like hitting the goal, or like in this case hitting the hoop at which that you make it like.
Well, nothing but net is if you're aiming like directly into the net. I'm gonna semantics this. I'm gonna win this.
I swear you're going to, and I'm gonna let you have it as we do get into this first round of sub-level where my knowledge of basketball is truly not relevant. Hey, I played soccer and I played football. Talk about those and we'll be good. But basketball was never my forte. I don't have the knees for it.
Oh, I believe me, I didn't either. But Worldwide, coming out on what? Okay, this is just. I mean, for Amplify, this makes a lot of sense, bringing in the same composition that they won on Coliseum. But Worldwide, bringing in a Torbjorn to start things off with the Reaper. I mean, this is a lot of front-loaded spam damage that you have here for Worldwide's composition, and for Amplify, they have to really careful maneuvering around this because if they want to go into the teeth of the team, they're going to get blown up. So it really is going to be on Tap and PGE to try and find, you know, some sort of pick, some way, because they can't really fight mano-a-mano on the ground against this Worldwide competition.
Yep, you see Worldwide had the high ground dominance, now transitioning below to take the advantage, but PGE already gets Red X, and again, this Sojourn play is yielding value out the gate, and this is something that we cannot allow to keep happening if Worldwide wants to take this.
And the thing is like if Worldwide is going to play this composition, look at their DPS. They don't have a way to get to PGE. There's literally, unless they are going to like speed onto him and just completely dive, there's no way to block any of the sight lines. There's no way to really contesting sidelines either. So that's just going to be free for PGE, who you cannot leave alone playing as well as they are. And now you can see Emerald's going on to the May just to offer some sort of ability to change the geometry a little bit, potentially put up a wall in front of PGE and make them rotate around.
That's enough. The equation here. What PGA has been able to do up top, continuing to find sightlines between those ice pillars. Coalescence active. Nolan down below, 1-for-1 trade, but PGE again just ripping the head off of Nolan. Despite the Coalescence being contributed, Worldwide is able to take this point for now. But if you continue to see Amplify dominate like this, you can see it. I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you to come out of the ice.
It's on the high ground. I mean, this is a good stall, at least, coming in from Worldwide. They're going to be able to get a little bit more of that percentage. I don't think they want to throw ultimates into this one. They're just trying to see if they can get any out of Amplify, but get an extra little 10% there. Not bad for Worldwide, and all things considered for them, but Amplify still pretty much in the lead right here, and now with Tap having the Blizzard coming online very soon to match the one coming out from Emerin, that's going to be a pretty big deal as well. The big difference is that Red X is going to have the sound barrier, so there's going to be a lot of potential for Worldwide to really overwhelm Amplify here in this next fight if Red X needs that sound barrier.
Separation so far forces out. Storm flying forward. Cap is topped up so they can get back into this with Blizzard contributed, but there is a great pickup at least onto Tap. The Blizzard now really not gaining any value because all of Worldwide has superseded and bypassed it by transitioning through it. So they can go back down to the point. Doge is going to be overwhelmed, but the Annihilation is the ace in the hole here, and PGE once again having Nolan in the sightline and taking them down to prevent any sort of fluid healing to recover for Worldwide.
And I mean, Worldwide had such a long rotation there that didn't end up really paying off because of the picks coming in from the backline members of Amplify. So Worldwide don't get to use their ultimate advantage, and they let Amplify catch up a little bit in this scenario. So this next fight is going to be a lot of particle effects, but at 95% taking upwards for Amplify, Worldwide have this last chance to be able to continue on this map.
And they got a blitz there to get it, and you can see that Sawhill is already so low, forcing out the Nemesis out the gate to keep it contested. And again, PGE in the window. Amp Matrix, oh my goodness, that's a scary sight to see! As Emery's gonna get blown up instantaneously with the extra damage as now PGE drops below, has the barrier. Tristan goes for the Death Blossom, but a focusing team is going to say no more, my friend. Amplified able to really continue this lightning and fiery momentum that they've had from Coliseum that started 2 maps ago and are looking to gain this reverse sweep.
1 map away from getting the brooms out for that reverse sweep, and if PGE continues to play like this, I would put my money that this is going to be a map win for Amplify here, because I think this is just someone who it's almost reminiscent of what the neutral thing is, where it's like there's just no one's near PGE. PGE is just left by himself, completely doing whatever he wants to do in this scenario. No one's really contesting him.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with you. The shift was now, instead of it being from the support who was gaining maximum value, PGE has now stepped into that role that you've seen on the opponent's side. And Worldwide, despite them playing so well, getting those first 2 maps, making it look competitive, now have to reevaluate the equation to find out what the end result can be.
And now in a little bit more of an enclosed area as we go to this one in Icebreaker, this might be where Worldwide can kind of start bringing it back a little bit, because it doesn't offer like as much high ground or as much room for PGE to really work with, and especially with how front-loaded the damage is Worldwide here, they can really rotate around effectively, and they're doing exactly that. Doge is almost about to die here because the support's just zoned out. Great decision-making from Amplified, but PGE still manages to trade one back.
I mean, they had the great engagement, like you said. They had the wall, they had the vortex. PGE was slowed and unable to dash out of it, so that's what forced that transition onto Doge. And you can see now, again, the aggression forward, PGE having to flee, and with the chase onto it, Tap at least gets 1. This is still Worldwide taking the ship.
Yeah, and I wonder, do we see any like switches from Amplify here, specifically from PGE? Because yes, the Sojourn's really working well, but again, in these enclosed areas, it's going to be a little bit harder to pilot, and it's also going to leave potentially Doge on an island because there's no, like, a wall doesn't really exist, and Worldwide have that wall to work with themselves. But Worldwide getting close towards a coalescence here, that's going to be something very scary for Amplify to deal with here, as they're already getting low to start things off. I mean, look at those health bars from Amplify getting taken down extremely low.
Nice wall as well. Removes the escapability from both power, and you've got the coalescence once again completely taking control of this. The aggression onto Buddy denies the immortality field and the AoE effective healing. Tap with the duplicate is attempting to turn this around, but there is an easy evasion from Tristan so that they can continue to stay. They even force out the Blizzard while still within the duplicate. They forced back Worldwide. There is a decent percentage gain despite it, and even this continued contention.
Yeah, that was completely on Tap with that duplicate onto the May. I mean, getting that Blizzard out, being able to just be a nuisance in the backline, because Worldwide had a great idea to just coalescence and blitz the backline of Amplify. They were able to take down a lot of the key support members, but having Tap here available to really come back in with the amount of damage from that May and really turn the fight around was incredibly impactful. Worldwide come back into this. Annihilation is going to be available, but there's that support ultimate with that sound barrier from Power Boost that was earlier.
And you can see the hard swivel with the focusing need to see if Tristan's going to be in the flanking position. Overclock comes in again by PGE onto Nolan. A third time that we've been able to see it across both of these rounds. Tristan, though, able to take down the support, which is so necessary, forcing them away. The annihilation from Doge is a chance to push back into this, but there's no real value gain. Worldwide has stripped this away from them, and honestly, Amplify needs to figure something out to get back onto this convincingly.
Yeah, the flip is a big deal, but as long as Doge is here and with the healers still up, I mean, they can still fight if you're Amplify in this scenario, and if Tap can find a way to maybe get this duplicate, you can turn this around. But look at Nolan close towards a coalescence. Can he survive long enough? Emerin goes down, though.
I mean, the best part of this is that it's still Worldwide gaining over 25%. Since they've been managing to stay in this fight, Coalescence has contributed. Sawhill gets the pickup onto Buddy after removing the immortality field. Doge attempting to round the corner on the outside, but is hacked, and they can still continue to push those fists forward with Tap and PGE coming in with the pickup.
They finally turn it back around. They're able to take down Nolan as well. That's going to be great for this team. Amplify now can start taking up their own percentage with Worldwide. I mean, they're not in last fight territory just yet. I think at 88%, they can potentially, if you're Amplify, get back into this one for like one last recontest. That EMP is going to be a big deal, though, from Tristan. Where is it going to go? Are you going to go for the backline? Are you going to just try and insta-kill one of the tanks or one of the DPS? That is going to be something that needs to be coordinated from Worldwide effectively. Just insta-kill one of those members.
EMP, both supports, Buddy gets blown to bits out of its usage. Red X as well follows up onto PGE, no recovery tactics available, and you have the annihilation when you have 2 down here from Amplify.
I think Doge used it to survive, because I think if Doge dies there, the fight is completely over. You need that annihilation for the reset here, as I mean, Power Boost goes back in, but it doesn't matter. You're not really staggering at this point. You need the Lucio. You need a sound barrier there.
Oh, that
they're just straggling.
This is going to be detrimental to Amplify. Worldwide in this moment is now in a position to bring this into a third round. The Coalescence will guarantee that anyone on entry is going to take consistent and streamlined damage because of this sound barrier committed onto power. They no longer have it for the entirety of the team. They're getting shut down. The Doofus from Doge is there as a latch dis effort to make sure that they can keep this into overtime, but they are not going to be able to do much more after it, as the Annihilation guarantees the conclusion as we see a round 3 on once again another initial series for NA.
Well, we're going the distance, Rich, and we're going for speed here between, well, not really, I guess this map has lasted probably as long as it could have, going all the way the distance with both of these teams. But I mean, I think this was a map where we saw kind of when PGE is not able to be on the Sojourn and gets completely run over, specifically from the tank line side, a lot of value is lost. I think that like when Worldwide is bringing out this composition where it's like very frontline oriented, Doge is kind of left on an island because Tap and PGE don't really have an insane amount of utility that like, let's say a May brings to the table. Like May, you know, having the wall, very big deal in those regards. Kind of if you're PGE and you're Tap, you're just there to kill things. And if you don't have the space to work with and you aren't killing things, you'll eventually just lose just the fight because of how elongated it is.
It's almost poetic too that we're entering onto labs. We've talked about the evaluations of the equation for Worldwide and how they want to see the adjustments they can make to gain the conclusion here. Scientists come out, going to see what type of value they can bring. Big vortex and wall separates them, dropping down below. Sawhill up front, taking the brunt of those stickies in the back from Tap, drawing back. That's Nolan again being hyper-focused. The weak link that it is consistently applied pressure from Amplify. And now they have only Redix to recover here. Tristan falls back to find a health pack, but they're deviated away from the fight. Sawhill up top gets one alongside Emery. And despite them losing one early, they're still in the driver's seat.
It is a big deal that they were able to take this one. No. If you're Amplify and Sawhill goes down, that means there's no tank, and now PG has so much room to work with here. Tristan trying to make something happen on the back end, but ends up getting taken out, and Amplify with a great understanding of target selection at the start. Take down Nolan. That's all of the healing that was lost from Worldwide, and now if you Amplify, you have ample room for PGE to work with here, and that's exactly what you need to try and complete this reverse sweep, because PGE also very close towards that overclock, and Buddy sitting on that Ant Matrix. That is a deadly duo that Worldwide does not want to see.
Now, bring forward Sawhill. They're going hyper-aggressive. Nice wall denying PGE accessibility to sightlines, having to maneuver. Oh my goodness! I just held my breath for a moment because that would have looked real dangerous. Redix now coming in with a two-piece as the Annihilation is active. PGE gets picked up. Nolan gets their revenge after previous fight. And now Doge has only 2, but that's not going to be enough. Still Worldwide able to capitalize underneath the bridgeway. A hack comes in as well. Tristan sticks around, and they'll swap it back at 61.
Yeah, Redix needs to use the Sound Barrier just to secure that fight win, but luckily Worldwide keep both their DPS ultimates, which is going to be huge absolutely here because of the fact that EMP is one of those ultimates where you can just use it once and instantly win a fight. They're going to need to continuously rotate these ultimates effectively to try and win these fights, and if they can manage to find Power Boost, that's going to be the biggest pick because Sound Barrier is not going to be there. But Tristan actually gets caught out. The Translocator isn't there.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's a disaster.
They've lost the opportunity. The overclock is there. It was a micro pixel of health on Doge. Sawhill shuts them down, but it's not quite yet determined that they will be able to turn this back around since Amplify when Tap comes in with 2. It is disastrous to lose Tristan this early, and they have to look for another fight.
That was just so unfortunate. I don't know what happened there. Maybe like the Translocator just wasn't there, and Tristan ended up throwing it away. I almost got sick from watching PGE do that, but Tristan just threw the Translocator, didn't have one, and just instantly got vaporized by the entirety of Amplify, who use a lot to get back into that fight, and the EMP is still available for Worldwide, but the biggest thing is the poke is in favor of Amplify here, and their heroes are so good at doing that. And Rich, I think this is last fight territory here. If Amplify win this fight, they're going to be able to complete this reverse switch. This EMP has to be
really is. You can see Tristan lingering in the back, agile and stealth.
Oh, he's getting
hit by the tri-shot again! Gets the translocate. The EMP actually lands onto 3. There's the immortality field from Buddy trying to keep Power Boost alive, but it's completely shut down, and the hack comes in after the reposition, so it's going to be Worldwide Worldwide shutting down Amplify, denying them from getting it in this fight, but they still have a long road ahead of them to get this counterplay.
I mean, this is just so close. I thought Tristan was absolutely about to get blasted by Tap there, but somehow manages to find a way to get the EMP off as well. And Worldwide live to fight another day, 60% and ticking up for them. Coalescence available. We've seen how aggressive Nolan can be with these. That's a nice wall. They don't manage to find the kill. Amplify supports have to be so careful here. Tap is hacked, he's dead!
Oh no! He gets picked up by Tristan! Beautiful play! And actually has the focus fire to deny it. This is now going to get into the final fight again.
Here we are back again. Last fight here for both of these teams, and Worldwide still have so many key ultimates to work with in this fight. Tap just desperately moving over to the Tracer to see if he can find a pick in the backline. Emery's dead! They have Blizzard! No Blizzard!
The shot! They can use the Coalescence to try and recover. It's going to be Reddix going down. Two are eliminated. PGE has been brought down before the overclock. They've locked down Doge in the corner. Do they have enough to bring him out of it? They do. Tristan finds the follow-up. It's 99 to 96. Worldwide is going to look to deny Amplify from getting this reverse sweep. They force them back. The overtime will dwindle. We get another spectacular play here in the NA region as Worldwide denies the sweep from Amplify.
Worldwide deny another reverse sweep here in NA and get their first win. Amplify was coming in guns blazing. Even the first sub-map, it looked like it was completely in control of Amplify there, but once they were able to figure out a way to stop PGE on that Sojourn, it just felt like it fell apart there for Amplify at the very end. And I mean, this map, this last sub map, you could feel it. Like this, the tension was like you could cut with a butter knife. It felt like there were just mistakes happening. It was just a little bit scrappy, but at the end, it's Worldwide who are able to just take it in the very end. Tristan redeems himself, I think, with that one hack onto Tap, like where they instantly got the kill. I mean, just really, really clutching it up for Worldwide, who finally can, get the monkey off their back that they haven't won yet. Now have that first win in their back pocket and can start to, really figure out a way to build upon this.
This is the place that you build upon, because what a performance from both of these teams and Worldwide, as you said it, just being able to persevere through the challenges that they have had in all of their previous matches. Major hats off to them. We are going to head to a short break before getting an interview with them to hear just exactly how excited they are and how relieved in the same moment. So don't go anywhere, my friends. Hello and welcome back, everybody, as we are here to have another glorious interview after an extensive 5-map full round series. We are lucky enough to be able to speak with a member of Worldwide, and that's Emran, specifically, that we get to actually chit-chat with you. How are you doing, my friend, after that one?
I'm feeling great. It was a really hard match.
Absolutely. No, seriously, I can't even believe it. Kenobi and I are just losing our minds here.
I mean, so kind of talk us through this one, because I think this is one where it was relatively close throughout the entirety of the series. The first two maps were, it was a little bit of a shaky situation, I think. The first two maps were actually really good for you guys, and then like the second two maps, what was happening there? Because I really liked what I saw from, you know, your compositions, specifically bringing out like this weird, not weird, I guess, but like the anti-dive stuff and like the Reinhardt stuff. Like, is that something that was planned going into a matchup like this, or is it something that you guys kind of have been labbing and it's like maybe we can bring it out if the time is right?
The weird strats we did, some of them were planned, some of them were kind of on the spot. Like, we played against teams that like in like scrims and stuff that whipped out those like weird comps against us before, and it was like really difficult to deal with. So we decided that we could like do kind of weird stuff like that, and we could like, kind of win off like surprising the other team. I guess they just wouldn't know what to do about it.
It really was a surprise. I mean, there were several occasions where Kenobi and I really commended the idea of doing that, because everyone is so used to seeing the, you know, the mirror or, you know, the standard of what we've been seeing so far, but you've really been able to play it proficiently. So now as you went through these first couple of maps, you're feeling really good. You're finding yourself on this map win, really, and then things start to shift away from you. What's the communication between you and your team as it starts to shift the other way?
It was, honestly, it was pretty much the same, to be honest. We kind of have a 0-0 mentality where like every map is 0-0. And it's like, I mean, it's not like we were like fully like there, I guess. If we were start losing, like we might get a little bit tilted, but we still kept it in and everything.
So then, take me to map 5, because map 5, it starts off and it's like, it kind of looks like map 4 where it's like PGE like really popping off. And then, was that one that you kind of like thought to yourself, it was like, this is like a very good Sojourn map and we can probably like bring it back on the other two? Like, was it just like calm and collected in comms, or was there like a little bit of just like, oh man, very close to getting reverse swept here? Like, how was it like in the communications between you when you get to like that third map and it's like, okay, we just have like this one thing to play and we should go?
Wait, do you mean for the third map or the fifth map?
The third sub map on the fifth map. My bad.
Oh yeah, okay. No, that map, we kind of we know that map really, really well. We know what we want to play on it. It doesn't, like, any other map would have been terrible for us, so we kind of just knew what to play. As long as we shut down PGE, we were going to win, because he was just 1v9ing.
Yeah, it was a couple of occasions where we did see the early takedown. Either it was like a Nolan, which was making it a lot more challenging. We even had a comment with you towards the end, or like before getting into the interview, you were saying like, oh no, I died, I lost my Blizzard, like that's not good. And then like everybody comes back and is able to take it.
Yeah,
so.
No, last fight I died with Blizzard, and it's just like in my head I'm like, okay, I just threw, like, last fight, like, it's actually over, and but Sawhill's kind of just the goat on Ram, and he just killed everybody, so I guess it didn't even matter.
There you go. You got somebody to help pick up the pieces whenever those moments fall a little bit further than you'd like. So we really, truly do appreciate your time. It was a spectacular season, and like the series, not season, series for us to be able to see you perform. And again, big congratulations on getting the first win on the board. That's in the right direction for you and your squad to continue developing in the right direction. So thank you so much for your time, and we can't wait to see how you continue on to the rest of the summer series, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, Kenobi. So we have repeated our story from last week and have done the same
map 5
today. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? We just see Strix now already being the one that we saw go to map 5, do the same to Saints. That's another game that's coming up for us. I actually do think we have an update on the standings as well, if I'm not mistaken, that just got propped up for us. So we can take a look at where things are before actually getting into that next one. And you know, 0-3 Splash right now, continuing the dominance, saying I'm just gonna continue leading the top right now.
0-3 Splash looking like a pretty good team right now, 5-0, and then trailing close behind them. You have Pirates and Pajamas and Saints, Wisp, Timeless, Good Boys, and Strix all at 3-2. So it feels like at this point we have pretty much like the top like 5, top 6, almost like secured at this point, and then 1-4, 1-4, 1-4, 1-4, 1-4. That 8th spot is going to be a bloodbath to get that 8th spot.
That's going to be wild as these remaining matches go for those bottom 5. And again, we've got so much more Overwatch ahead of us with this next series that is going to be between Strix and Saints. You and I are looking forward to getting into that one to see if Strix is able to elevate themselves again at that 3-2 to maybe actually drop another one of them down just a totem bowl. But with that being said, we're going to head to a short break before getting into that next game. Don't go anywhere. We've got some time for you to get some drink and get some food, just like I'm going to do before we get this next game underway. return. We're not going anywhere, friends. We're back for another series and hoping that this one is just as good as the last. Yes, I am Rich Red here alongside Kenobi, and we've got another game coming up, which I think is still going to be a pretty good one. I'm actually really looking forward to it.
A lot to live up to. I mean, with the entertainment value that we had in our last map, but hey, you know, we cast a lot of map 5s. Maybe this will be something similar to it. But Strix versus Saints, obviously, I think people were here last week, know a lot about Strix and that amazing miracle victory that they had against Timeless. And Saints, you know, a team that, you know, reigning champions coming from our spring series, having some changes on that roster, but Strix, who we're going to start talking about first. I mean, this roster, a lot of names that are familiar to us, but also names that are starting to really pick up in terms of notability. I'd say Taejong, and like specifically, is someone who I think looks like an absolutely incredible player, specifically on that DPS role, and complements really well with Rai Mazing, with Krandop. Karova was the one who made that miracle play, you know, with the Sojourn and then averting to round things out. So the Strix team, I mean, I think they've played like the most map 5s in the entirety of the tournament so far.
Yeah, they've really been tooth and nail for every one of them, and even, you know, Krandop getting to talk with them specifically, and, you know, their contribution to the team and what they've been able to do and the experience that they've had so far has been a great one. And, you know, going against a team like Saints, who we can take a look at their roster now, names that we know is going to be competitive, but I think that Strix is a team that can really start to push against the force that we've seen that is Saints before.
And Saints, I mean, this team has had some changes to it. I mean, bring in Vision, who I think you could argue is like one of the most clutch players we've seen in Contenders and Collegiate in the last 2 years. Someone who's incredibly gifted at that hit scan role. Rounding out this DPS line, which you could argue again is one of the best, if not like the best in Contenders. Like this team has Sam and King just waiting in the wings whenever they feel like it. Mikey's still here playing in a Winston Mida, one of the best Winstons we have in the support line. I think is probably, besides 03 Splash, is the best support line that we have. I think these are like the top 2, so with Cal and Vega. So I think that as we kind of move forward in this tournament, Saints were very heavy favorites going into this one. Now that I think that there's a lot more competition coming in from like Timeless, from 03 Splash, from Strix, from Wisp, we saw how like enclosed that top 7 was. I think that it's not a guarantee for Saints anymore.
Yeah, and that's what has to allow them to really keep to their strengths and be able to play at the most proficiency that they can, as we do have confirmation that our first map of Control, where we ended our last series, is going to be where we begin this one as we enter into Antarctic Peninsula. And I am, again, looking forward to seeing what that first round is going to bring to us, to see what type of adjustments might happen due to just the architecture of the round in and of itself.
Yeah, Antarctic Peninsula is where we just came from in the last map of our previous series, now starting it off here in this one. Again, it's kind of a map where I feel like we have a lot of variance in terms of like what is successful on what different sub-map. You know, have sub-level very good for Winston a lot of the time. You can still play Rush there. Then there's a lot of more of those enclosed maps where you really need to play like or a Matra or something like that. So we'll see what kind of we luck into in terms of the RNG of what map we're going to be going into in terms of sub-maps. But this is one that I would expect when we get into like predictions and stuff like this to be very close, right? I think these are two teams that realistically can make a lot happen in like the playoffs. I can expect like long runs from both of them, even like in this tournament, in like the group stages. I think they can cause a lot of noise. And Saints, obviously the defending champions, a lot of pressure on them to try and repeat.
A lot of ruckus is what I would call it. I haven't heard that word in a long time, so I had to use it.
The word ruckus, it is a boomer word. So
I know it's, well, that, or what's the other one? Wicked. Wicked is another word
Wicked
that
is,
I've not heard. Like you
oh,
know,
it's wicked, bro.
Yeah. I don't know. It's either that or neat. Neat's another one that I don't hear often, and a buddy of mine uses it all the time, and I'm just like, I
think
can't.
It's neat.
That's very neat, yeah. So we're going to be entering in now on to Icebreaker, where we will see who is able to take the first round. Again, 1-4. Well, okay, we're going to have a subtle pause to give you more time to get your predictions in. Strix is going to be 1. Saints is going to be 2. We get a little bit more time with you, my friends, to chit-chat as we look to see what they're going to bring out to this. But back to words. Another one that's interesting besides neat would probably be like flabbergasted. I That's another word.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's another one. I don't know. That'd probably be like the word that I would actually love to hear properly used in a conversation.
I think we could probably use it in a cast and it'd be totally fine.
Yeah, you know what? That's what we'll do. You know what I should do? I should just every cast be just like, hey, community, like, what word should I? Well, no, that could be really bad, actually.
You'd have to put some restrictions on
I'd
it,
have
I
to.
think.
You see, like, a 3 follow-up retweet or like chain thread tweet of all of the criteria for the words that we can kind of work into the cast. Oh no, that'd be too much fun. But yeah, so make sure you get your predictions in before we do enter into this match. It's probably going to come back to our pretty faces for a brief moment as we do correct the issue that's going on between these two teams, unless they're all ready to go. I lied. I'm sorry. I'm such a sinner.
You've denied the chat your baby blues once again.
Oh my gosh, are we ever going to get over that? That's going to be such an ongoing thing. But what's an ongoing thing is the battle between these two, as I said earlier.
Stop having pretty
doors.
eyes. It's
Oh my
pretty
goodness.
easy.
Oh goodness. Well, we're gonna see how pretty this engagement's gonna be between the two of them as they do initially push up towards that top half in the flanking position towards the engine room. You do see Mikey leading in on the Ram this time around to combat against Grandop, which again, Grandop played a very stellar Ram before, knowing how to really work their way through this front line and understand the pick potential is Taejong, who you highlighted, gets a 2-piece out the gate.
Yeah, I think Taejong is someone that we're gonna have to keep an eye on, not just for like this season in Contenders, but like Contenders going forward. Because I think this kid is really, really talented. And for Strix, I mean, starting that thing off with this composition, we could talk a little bit about the compositional differences. We have the Moira for Kurova instead of something like the Baptiste. What the Moira offers is a little bit more of that AoE healing. And it doesn't necessarily offer the same thing in terms of that damage output that like Cal can bring to the table, but in these like very brawly scenarios, you just get blanket the entirety of your team. But if Vision just takes your head off, you're not going to be able to play.
And that's what we've seen Vision do time and time again. But Rye Amazing, who is not one to sleep on, mind you, because their Sojourn play is one to really keep an eye on. Randolph even said the same thing during an interview that I had with him before the match previously, where they can really take control of the match, and I think someone to fight against Vision.
Yeah, I mean, Rye Amazing is going to be someone, especially on the Sojourn, kind of really elevated themselves last year, now coming into a new meta where it's a little bit change for Rye Amazing and not really the focal point like he was in that last season, or last year that we saw Rye Amazing play a lot when it was, you know, Thor and Hurix kind of coined Rye Amazing collecting souls. It's a little bit different now with Sojourn kind of falling off, but if any point where you can see Rye Amazing playing Sojourn rather, that's something that you can really hang your hat on for Strix, as they're going to come back into this one. Both of the DPS alts online. Can Tree find a way to get Blizzard in time to match the run from Taejong? I think they should.
The rail shots coming in already from Rye Amazing on the high ground. Nice wall to mitigate, at least from Tree, but Grandop takes the dominating fist to Cal, denying them accessibility into this fight. No recovery tactic ahead of them. Vega also extremely low, and Strix put themselves in a prime position to take this back, negating any more percentage gain.
Yeah, the Sombra there from Vega, I'm not sure what happened to it, but it didn't manage to find everyone that I think Vega wanted in there, and that's going to be Strix winning that fight, and Saints having tried to buy back into that one with the Annihilation and with the Blizzard means that Strix now have a Blizzard of their own to work with, and Vega doesn't have a Sound Barrier to blanket that damage. Vision here with the Overclock is going to have to be big in this next fight, comboed along with that Amp Matrix if Saints want to find a way back into this one.
We'll see if they're able to do so. 70+% accumulating. Strix in a prime position to take this fight and claim the first round. Nice breaker as the Amp Matrix comes in. Nice immediate wall to deny, but it will not be standing tall for long. It buys just barely enough to mitigate and hide behind the wall, but Vision finds a sliver of an opportunity and takes full control of it, taking down Taejong. And Strix at this point just want to guarantee that they get as close to 99% as they can, then swaps over.
And I like the patience there from Saints, specifically from Vision, where it's very easy there to kind of see, you know, get red in the eyes and just be like, okay, I have an Amp Matrix here, I can just use Overclock at the same time, but Vision doesn't need to do that. And now you keep the Overclock for the next fight, so you can continue to have a little bit in terms of that ultimate economy to start rotating yourself back in percentage-wise to Strix. I mean, Rye Mason was close to theirs, but they don't have it just yet. Now without the wall, I think Vision might go for it with this Overclock.
See, again, really holding this angle. Sure that they have presence not only for the catwalk, but that downward door position is Tree able to eliminate Amazing before the overclock can be brought into the equation here. And at this point, at 70%, you need Strix to try and recover from this because they can't risk losing another.
Yeah, Strix need to figure out if they want to take this fight or if they want to be able to wait, because they have a lot of key ultimates coming up online. The Coalescence is going to be a big one. You also have the overclock from Amazing. Looks like they're going to wait. Now it's going to be last fight territory for both of these teams. Tree, though, sitting here with a Blizzard. It's going to be so hard for Strix to run into this.
See the Strix taking foul position up front, moving in. You've got the Annihilation active, ultimates being unleashed from Saints. Tree gets the shutdown. Krandop is no longer present, and now it's just a domino effect. Every ultimate contributed from Saints is yielding value and shutting out Strix for them to have a hope and a prayer in this first round.
That was really good gatekeeping from Saints, where they saw like the rotations were coming in, and I think at that point Strix was aware that the Blizzards has to be online for Tree, right? There's no way they don't have it, but like that was just really good from Saints, where they were just positioning so well to be like, yeah, if you want to come this way, you're gonna have to walk through Blizzard, and then they have to rotate so far away to that other side. That means that Saints can set up in the back line on the other side of the map and just let Vision have all that space to work with. And we can see the predictions right now: 58 for Saints, 42 for Strix. I mean, this is close. I mean, I think this is how it's going to be with a lot of these teams when we see these like top 7 matchups, where it'll be like 60-40, 55-45, like it'll be close a lot of, unless like someone really starts to pull away, with which O3 Splash is the closest to, I think.
The only one to pulling away. As we enter now into labs, curious to see how Strix is going to adjust and adapt in comparison to not let this one get away from them for an easy map win. High ground on this catwalk is going to be the place of contention towards that coastal area. Mikey getting flanked, nice boop to dislodge and separate the supports away, so Mikey is not pushed into an unfavorable angle. Holding back, no longer has the Nemesis, needs to be cautious. Tree still going to look for some decent sightlines to counteract it. High ground still maintained by Strix until they opt to dive in onto this, taking the space that they desperately need to overwhelm Tree, who's popped their defenses already, and the immortality field is gone. So that gives a window for Strix to drop down and take it first.
Yeah, I don't think Mikey and the rest of the team assumed that Mikey was going to die there. I thought they had a little bit more time to work with as Amazing takes down Vision, and now Saints just have to do a full retreat here as Strix will start taking up that percentage as much as they can. Karova getting close towards this Coalescence, but on the other side, Cal has been able to stay alive long enough to be able to find her way to Ant Matrix. So Strix, you have to be a little bit careful, because if Ant Matrix is just going to surprise them completely, that's something that could change this fight.
Nice disruptor shot to hold them from pushing through to take and contest that catwalk. Mikey down below. There's this crossfire angle. Cal instantly has to force out the immortality field, and with it being brought down by Krandop, everyone swarms forward and takes another fight engagement.
And Strix, I mean, they're played really patiently. I love the way they're like kind of rotating around the geometry, not really giving Cal like a perfect avenue to use that amplification matrix, because if you just kind of like sit in front of it, Cal's going to be like, great, I can just throw this down. But the rotations from Strix and using the geometry was really well played, to the point where like Cal couldn't just throw down an Ant Matrix and get value out of it. Had to really think about how they were going to be able to use that. So now Strix continually on the defensive end here. Overclock flank.
Amazing absolutely blasts Cal with the flanking angle. Not ready at all for that, but all the while up front, 2 go down. They lose one of their supports, and you even have the rotation with the Annihilation from Mikey to shut down Amazing, and despite the early pick, they lose this entirety of the fight.
I mean, the idea was so good from Amazing there, but perfectly timed. I mean, perfectly would have actually been that Cal gets to live through that, but it was a one-shot, so I don't really blame Vega. But on the other side of it, really well-timed Somber. I mean, instantly just blanketing all of that incoming damage. Amazing couldn't find another pick because there was just too much shielding and health to chew through. And Saints are able to survive, and survive by only using 2 ultimates, right? That's the biggest thing. So now they still have 3 to work with as Strix come back in.
Blizzard active on the lower position. It's going to collapse onto Mikey, who no longer has the immortality field. But since the Blizzard is gone, Amazing gets a counterplay on Division. Krandop frozen to the core behind the wall. Vega and Cal take instant advantage of this, and the support plays are able to put out the damage.
I mean, love that from Cal as well. Using the Ant Matrix, we see a lot of the time Ant Matrix used in a aggressive way and like an offensive way. That time Cal uses it as a way to just completely blast healing into the entirety of his team to make sure that they live through the blizzard, and that keeps Saints alive throughout that fight, and then they can, you know, recontest with their own blizzard from Tree. So really well played from Saints, and specifically that support line coming in from Cal and Vega, who've been playing well so far. As Strix come back and try to take the high ground. Krandop already getting taken down low. He needs to be able to survive so that Kurova can come in with coalescence.
And look at the wall that separates and causes this redirection of positioning to give extra healing, but then that leaves the supports vulnerable for Saints to take full control of. They are absolutely taking these last few moments, fully embracing what they can do with this now being the last fight territory for Strix.
Verdings can't go down their knees to be able to survive, and will be able to do so. And you're right, Rich, this is going to be the last fight that we have for Strix. If they don't manage to win this one, they're going to be going down 1-0 already to start this series. Vega coming in towards a sound barrier, Kurova and Krandop. That's a combo that's going to be incredibly important, because if you can use that coalescence to enable Krandop, get him into that fight, and then get him to annihilation, that's how you can bring it back.
Vortex for the moment. They actually get the cryo freeze out of Tree. Immortality field, they're putting so many resources to allow Tree to escape. Coalescence active in the back to make sure that they can also press on and shut down Mikey in the front position. Oh no! The rail shot charge onto the overclock. Ryan Mazing is brought out of this equation. No longer viable for them to take advantage of multiple rail shots up top. Vision now going to take control. Looking for shots into the back. Tree doing so as well on the Krandop. No tank available. Ryan Mazing swapping as a desperate plea on the Soldier to sprint back into this position. It's swapped back. Saints are in prime control and are able to take this first map with no one getting back in time to contest.
And I mean, who else but Vision there? I talked about at the start of the series, one of the most clutch players we've seen in the past like couple of years, I think, in Contenders since we've been watching them. There at the very end, absolutely no fear, finds the biggest headshot onto Ryan Mazing, who had overclock going, and just completely turns that fight around with one click of the head, rail shot, ending everything, and that Saints taking a 1-0 lead, looking very clean to start things off.
Well, and the other part of this, too, is we talk a lot about Vision, but I have to give a lot of credit to Tree here, because Tree was the one who we saw on this Sojourn, on this hit scan, really being able to pave the way. But now that Vision's able to take that up for right now, Tree, with their walls, with the slows, with their ability to utilize the cryo freeze to get them out of really sticky situations, that works so well for them, and it draws a lot of the focus away and just has such value in the bigger picture.
And I think Tree's kind of always been like this chameleon player where like Tree can play like a lot of things very, very well, and also in different styles. I think this is like, Mei is like one of those heroes where it's like very hard to see kind of like the pop off of Mei, because it's a lot of what makes Mei so valuable doesn't necessarily happen in the kill feed, right? It's a lot of like those walls that you're talking about. It's a lot of the positioning and really using your life as a resource and effectively zoning people out, and things like that. So I think that like having Tree on this role kind of expands a little bit about like what Tree is as a player, because we've seen Tree a lot of the time in the past like be the focus of the team, right? Like last year, I mean, it was obvious where on Odyssey, you know, Tree was kind of the Michael Jordan of everything. Now I think having another pressure valve, which is great for a team like this, you know, whether it was King in Spring Series, now with Vision also on this roster, Sam too, I think it's great to like you know, kind of lift the weight a little bit off Tree. But I think the entirety of the team played incredibly well. Cal looks really good. They've been playing out of their mind. Vega, I think, is one of the best, if not the best, like main support, potentially like support player we have in NA Contenders. And this team, I mean, while they are not at the top of the table just yet, this is like a team where I always like, when it comes to playoffs, that's really where they like turn the switch to a win.
Yeah, and it's just, I think, that mental atmosphere that they get into, because we've even talked to them and interviewed them about that over several occasions, where it's like, you know, got to get to the playoffs, that's where things shift. Or, you know, we're just kind of working our way through, better understanding all the teams and knowing who we're going to compete against, trying to set ourselves up for success, and then unleash the beast, which they are absolutely able to do. And you even talking about Cal, I still remember so many occasions, you and I, either through Collegiate or here, where you just see them having these pop-off moments of multiple kills. Their Baptiste play is unreal. So seeing that little bit of a pitfall against the flanking Sojourn was one of those few moments that you see the weakness, but I'm looking forward to what this next
that's not Cal's fault, though.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's where it's just like, oh no, you feel bad for Cal. Like, it's okay, we're gonna leave that alone. But actually, where we're gonna be going, it's one that I've not seen in quite some time, Kenobi. It's gonna be Midtown for our next map selection of Hybrid.
And this will be interesting as well if we do see any like swaps in for either of these teams. But Midtown is a map where it's such an interesting map because I think that like every facet of the map plays like differently. Like you play like a very CG on like the first point, and then second point, it's like a lot about controlling that high ground, and third point is kind of similar to that as well, where there's all these like corners to play around, and angles are like super important. So we'll see kind of what compositions are brought to the table. This is one where it's like, do we see like Winston? I think on second, like Winston's very popular because of the fact you can control that high ground, but also do we see like Ramatra, because you need to poke a little bit, you know, where you are at the start of the map and give that space to your DPS, who are just going to be able to potentially spam through these areas, like whether it's through train or through that like little corridor. Ash is something that I think is very popular on a map like this because it's just so easy to hit those dynamites through that small entryway. So I think this is a map that I'm interested to see kind of come back into the meta, because it does offer a little bit of versatility, I think, for what composition you can see.
Yeah, and it's refreshing to see that variation and what kind of things that you can bring to the table. And even, you know, looking at it as a whole, and you mentioned all the different dynamics as we work through this map specifically, like once you start going into that payload position where it starts to move through that doorway, I always feel like the bridgeway is such an interesting place that you can play. There's those couple of side angles that you can take, finding opportunity, even like the get out of jail free card with those couple underpasses if you do have to look for contention or want to reside within that area. So there's a number of different ways to play it, and it's exciting overall to see as we actually do gain confirmation that there is going to be a sub, it looks like, coming in here for, it's actually going to be Strix, it looks like.
Yeah, Strix are going to bring in.
Yeah, Strix are going to bring in.
Which is good, I think. Which I think is Hyun is someone who I was impressed with last time we saw them in last week. This probably tells me that we're going to be seeing like maybe Brig Honor or something like that. I think Lucio's potentially a thing that we see here. Also, I wouldn't expect it maybe on the defensive end, because kind of Lucio doesn't do too much defensively. Like, he kind of just spam. But it is definitely something that's possible as we go into a map like this, where Midtown is somewhere, again, where it's so weird to me that we're going to be seeing this map again, because it feels like it's been so long since I've seen it in competitive. It's like, hybrid was like, to me, for the past like 6 months to a year, has been like Blizzard World Kings Row. And
so I mean, let's think about it, because we always were sticklers for pizza. So the last time we commented on pigeons and pizza in the same sentence is that's how long ago.
Oh my god, that's so. That's got to be at least last year.
That's like the realest take ever that we've had so far with pigeons and pizza. As we'll probably, our ops will probably do that to us out the gate when we get into this. But it looks like we are just giving a subtle moment here to both these teams before entering into the map. But again, overarching, you know, dynamic here is that we have seen Saints be playing very proficiently. Still a lot of combatant opportunity here for Strix. They have still found their opportunities to turn it back over, but now as we deviate away from control, this is where things now really start to shake up, because it gives a lot more, I think, opportunity for Strix to kind of come out of that shell, no longer be so focused on a control type map, and this hybrid is really going to start telling us, and should be a glaring tell, how well they're going to compete against Saints moving forward.
I think the other thing about this is that I wonder if we're going to see like the Tracer duel between Tree and between Taejong. So that's something I would like to see. I think that would be Taejong in particular, I think, really last week kind of like stepped up to the stage a little bit. And I mean, even we saw like a little bit of moments of that in map 1 in Night's Peninsula, but like if we do see something similar to that, I would maybe not this map. Depending on where we are though, because I feel like on 3rd you can play Tracer, but this feels a lot more like either spam or long range hit scan. That's like where we're gonna be at.
And then also that pigeon already ate its pizza. That's why it's just really just contemplating how its stomach feels. I feel like, are you okay down there?
I feel like it would die, would it not? If you ate like an entire slice of pizza, if you're a pigeon, like, wouldn't you just?
No, die? I don't think so. I mean, the thing that's really bad. No, because I eat an entire pizza and I'm fine.
But you're also like.
That would be equivalent.
No, it's not.
One pizza.
No.
Like, well, okay.
There are not. Your body is not worth 8 pigeons. Okay, I refuse to believe that.
Okay, all right. I'll admit that. I'll give you that. But
you're yoked, but I don't know if you're that yoked.
What does that even mean?
Being yoked is usually got muscle. You know?
Oh, that's nice. Okay, I'll take that. You know, I'm really trying to get to the gym a little bit more. So maybe
you got too much muscle to be worth 8 pigeons.
That's true. That's true. I'll take it. As we are entering in now, as we push up to this. God, I always love our conversations on broadcast. As we do see the sweeping maneuver towards that alleyway, and just how Krandop is going to lean into this, and this Junker Queen is something that Krandop has actually played very, very well. But at moments like these, when you're separated away from the team and you don't really have as much assistance, you are going to get challenged instantly. But the support play is actually keeping Krandop alive. It was literally 50 HP remaining, and you thought they were going to go down, but there is a masterful recovery here from Strix.
Yeah, and I think for Strix, I mean, this was a great rollout from them, where they kind of like took away all of those sight lines from Saints. They really forced Mikey out of position, and you can see Mikey's just gonna say, I really don't want to deal with this. I'm gonna try and opt into something else like that Winston to really just be a little bit more aggressive, because there's a potential that the healing output just from the Kiriko and from the Lucio isn't going to be able to deal with him diving into that backline with Vision or with Tree, and Mikey can play a little bit more aggressively. It's going to be a lot on Krondop to see if Krondop's going to be able to negate some of the value Mikey's going to be able to get on this Winston.
Now, nice disruptor shot, kind of locking this dude down for the moment. Being very strategic in how they play, working through this phase. Garova up top. Looking for a couple of shuriken pickups, but still continuing to top up Rhymazing, since there isn't as much lethality that can come out from Saints with Vision on the Ashe. Not that one-shot potential as we've seen with the Sojourn or other. That payload's actually moving quite a bit here, too. Tree gonna go in for the dive, but look at how swiftly Rhymazing is able to dive out of the way, but leaving Kurova a little vulnerable, and Tree takes the advantage. And rotating now to get that duplicate onto the jungle might be disastrous here as they clean it up.
Duplicate. I think this is honestly like the most fun move, is Junker.
Yeah, it really is.
It's so
really
fun.
is.
Ramatra's like a close second, but I love duping Junker Queen, especially if you can get the ultimate, which unfortunately Tree isn't able to do. But Tree did his job already, taking down instantly that assassination in the backline, and that's just a nano and dupe used for Saints. So now they have control of this high ground, which is going to be good for them and good specifically for Vision to try and get some value, because Vision hasn't really been able to get too much yet. Rhymazing has done a great job of just like pressuring out and just threatening Vision.
Yeah, and Tree at this point is the one that has to make the movements, and this is a second time now that Tree finds these subtle moments to aggress forward and completely stifle Strix.
A lot of this is though on Mikey as well. I think Mikey is playing this so coordinated with Tree, because what's happening now is Strix are like, whenever Strix are like making like a little bit too aggressive of a push, and like Krandop is going in, as soon as Krandop like crosses the offside line, I'll call it, they instantly dive onto the back line with Mikey and with Tree, and there's not a lot of sustainability if there's no Suzu for the back line or for Rhymazing. So I think that the Saints are really playing this well and utilizing this high ground effectively and dive, as Mikey's just going to go aggressive here, has the Primal Rage if needed, but just creating so much space.
Yeah, and the reason they have so much of this possibility of playing aggressively is because they really have a back ace in the hole, back pocket, just ready with the Primal Rage. And there's not enough damage to even force it until finally you're going to see the juggle. Right yeah, they're just letting them have a free farm on the front line.
Mikey!
The jungle! Mikey, this is why we talk so highly about their Winston play, because it is a legendary.
I mean, okay, it ends up going down, though, to a pulse bomb from Taejong, but is there enough sustainability from the Strix's side? Krandop, being taken down extremely low, will eventually go down. The Strix do get some progress on the payload, but they aren't able to break this defensive hold right here, which is going to be what Saints want to keep here, keeping Vision up on this high ground, keeping the spam going. Actually, Strix do manage to find a way back in, but with Mikey coming back now, there's no way Strix can hold this without their jungle.
I mean, it really was helpful that Taejong, who is now slept, by the way, was able to get the—
Oh my god, Cal!
My goodness, Cal, how could you? Rampage across the high ground, gets damage on Division. Cal and Tree extremely low, but they're able to stay alive long enough to be able to get themselves somewhat topped up. But unfortunately, because that Rampage causes such disruption to their angle and how they play it, it's literally a cleanup from Strix and Kurova coming out on top.
Yeah, Kurova doing what Kurova does, it feels like, with this Sojourn. Is there going to be a recontest? Doesn't look like there is going to be. Maybe, I think Strix, or Saints, they're getting maybe a little bit too over-aggressive after getting that sleep, and just Krandop had probably one of the easiest rampages he's ever going to be able to hit, as Mikey is going to end up going down here, and now the momentum can start moving forward. As Cal is able to trade back into Kurova, Strix going to be able to get back onto this high ground and leave, but actually maybe they might not be able to actually. I think they're stuck here.
They're between a rock and a hard place right now, but at least gonna take down Cal, so they've gotten something for their troubles. Taejong able to now leave with the Tracer, triple dash across the high ground, and look for a regroup with Krandop.
We also have to remember that like Echo for Tree is like something that Tree really made his name on. Is Vega actually gets taken down by Rye Amazing, but it is traded back in for Taejong. So I think that Strix are going to actually try and move forward a little bit here, but Mikey going to take control of the high ground. Always got to be out for Vision.
A little more dangerous. Mikey up top, ascending and then descending constantly to hold that angle. Tree now with a duplicate though onto the Junker Queen, and that's Strix's opportunity to say, we are not going to check you with that.
That's a Peepo leave angle right there. You do not want to ever be near a duplicated Junker Queen like that, because Rampage builds up so fast in that scenario. So good presence of mind from Strix to just leave in that scenario as Taejong poking and prodding. Also, the false bomb. There's also the overclock from Rybazing, who now has the high ground. So,
ooh, there is a boosted Tree. Can they get the overclock shots? Finding down below, the Kitsune Rush is tossed into the mix here, but Tree still playing defensively enough that they aren't going to get caught out, waiting for the ideal moment to re-enter into this fight. But with Mikey down, that causes a problem. Taejong picked up though by Vision in the distance, so that makes it a 1-for-1 trade on the DPS line. Tree has a sliver of health.
Tree alive?
Just looting in the back. Unbelievable resilience to survive. Bob now going to also anchor on the wall with Tree rounding the corner for a focusing beam on Rymazing.
No, I mean, I want Vega as my support in my games, because that Vega literally gave his life to just walk forward into 5 people and just triple pack Tree so that Tree lived, and Tree was able to survive, come back in, get an execution, and Strix with what looked like a fight win aren't able to convert it into anything, and now there's just 45 seconds left for them. Rampage available for Grandop. Power Saint's going to maneuver around this one. Rally's close for Vega. That would be great to deal with it.
Oh, that Jagged Blade would have been critical to get on Division, but able to just jump out of the way quick enough. Bionade lands, so Grandop has to play back and wait for the top-up healing. 30 seconds to go. Rampage available once again, getting blown up, and has to go back and be like, friends, please, can I get topped up? Thank you. I'm going to come again for another. Jagged Blade again goes wide. Rampage being held on to. Peeking down below. Going in for 2. It hits both Tree and Vega, and Tree is sent packing. The damage is too sufficient. 11 seconds now in the home stretch. The spawn advantage, though, for Saints. A pickup, counting both supports out of this. Wonderful play from Vision and Mikey going right for the back line, and now it's just a shooting gallery onto Grandop, who is attempting to utilize that fire truck as a blockade, but it will not be able to do so as everyone swarms around it, not allowing them to get this completion.
I can't believe that Vega held on to that rally for that. Like, you gotta have supreme confidence in yourself to be able to be hit by that Rampage, walk back to your team, and then at like 50 health be like, yeah, okay, maybe not even 50, I think it was like 25, and be like, okay, now is the time to pop Rally, and then have faith that Cal is going to be able to heal you. Like, that was just really, really phenomenal patience in a scenario where, like, I think there were a lot of players who would have just like been like, I need to rally immediately here, and potentially could have died. Vega doesn't end up doing so, keeps the rally, the rest of the team goes in, Mikey with a great counter dive, and Saints are able to hold.
I'm quite flabbergasted how Tree was able to stay alive. See, I went full circle, man. I went full circle with that one.
We still have minimum like 2 maps left. You gotta like win.
I mean, I had to, come on. I wanted to at least use one of them. I still got some other ones to use that we talked about, but at least I got that one in for my daily talk.
I actually wonder if Grandop missed Carnage.
I think so.
I did.
It looked like it might have been.
It didn't look like I heard the Carnage hit. That actually might have been the difference maker. Yeah, because I think if he hits that Carnage, I don't know if Vega is able to survive through the ticking damage. It would have been very close, but still, I think Vega deserves props for being able to keep it for that long and not just like panic ult.
And now as we take the swap of sides, seeing if we can have Saints on the attack do the same, if not better. We do see... No. We were all real happy for a hot second, then we were all real disappointed. But it's okay. There's still going to be great gameplay. Nobody be sad. You're all still getting skins, and we're having a good time. So...
And this is a little bit of a different look for Saints. I mean, running with this double flanker look, I think that this is something that... I mean, they were obviously very successful with this in the Spring Series because it's what they wanted on for the most part. But Saints now have Vision on the Sombra, who I think is a player who like is really much like a chameleon, right? They just have the smarts to be able to play almost anything, and there is a nice hack on the Grandop, but oh my god, immediately gets obliterated. There's no way Vision... I mean, I caster cursed the hell out of him. That was just... That's my bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's like you having like a little voodoo doll being just like, I'm gonna hit you with a couple needles real
I'm
quick,
just
Vision.
like, I'm just like, oh, Vision's so smart. He can play like everything, and then like immediately after he gets like a good
Whip
hack
shot.
off, he just gets absolutely blasted by the entirety of Strix. And Strix start off with a nice defense, start things off. Minute already taken off the clock, and not too many ultimates to talk about right now, but they got to get Vision. If you're Saints here, you got to get Vision into a good position, that back line, and maybe respect potentially the incoming damage and scout.
Yep, gotta pool the resources in the necessary area. Wanting to get this EMP is critical. Mikey in the bubble needs to be careful though. The disruptor shot still does quite a bit of chip damage on that high ground, but supports are there. Quick and easy for Cal and Vega to get Mikey topped up, looking for another engagement. Jumps up to the high ground window. Still getting some long-range firing with that right-click and goes in for Rymazing, and with the melee land jump damage, it's enough to take them down and now follow through in the train card onto Kurova. So with both of those down, Strix is going to find a real challenge to counteract this, especially with Tree on the Tracer, having a field day right now with a quad kill.
I mean, the primary just here from Krondop, and he's actually gotten both of the supports, as with Taejong now also not in this fight. Krondop needs to find a way out, though, and I think this Pulse Bomb should be able to secure kill on the Krondop. I mean, this is recontestable for Strix. They can come back into this. They have Nano Rally. Like, this is a way back in.
Yeah, Krondop really buys enough time here, and with this drawback from Saints, massive opening and only giving up one tick. Kenobi EMP now comes in from Vision, only onto 2. Do they have the follow through? They're coming up short. The juggle is there as well from Mikey off on a side angle. Rymazing is still alive. All the scores keeping him going, and this is unbelievable from how Strix is able to turn this around, hold the line, and deny Saints from taking even more.
Yeah, Cal played that super well, just positioning away from the EMP, not sitting next to Vega, or not sitting, or rather Kurova, not sitting next to Hyun there, so Hyun could just use that rally after the Nano comes in, keep that retail alive, and just have that health continuously building up, so Saints couldn't really chew through all of it. And now, I mean, Destro swap over to the Ashe just to see if Vision can find a pick out of nothing or force up some cooldowns with that Dynamite, but Taejong's coming up on a Pulse Bomb, and Taejong's attach rate is super high.
Yeah. Now, with these 45 seconds, we might just be able to see Strix with a full hold before transitioning into the payload phase. It's a tall task, but it can be done if they play this seamlessly. Pulse Bomb into the support line, but hits the shield. Wonderfully timed by Vega, a support line that we've highlighted heavily, and that's a moment to say that they can do so and withstands it. But Krondop gets the entrance onto Vision, knocking them out of this fight. There is one last opportunity to regroup, but they're locked in a room with Mikey going down and Rymazing finding the shot.
Yeah, Mikey was diving super deep. They're trying to find a way to get kills into the backline, but just wasn't able to manage to secure any of those kills, and Strix throughout all of that were just zoning off the backline, so Mikey couldn't get healed. Is anyone going to be able to even touch this point to proc that overtime?
Triple dash by Tree, guaranteed the overtime, but needs to get back into it. All the while, Vision in the back is getting overrun and completely knocked out of this fight. Strix take it, making it a 1-1 match score here in this series. And by golly, if I see another map 5, I'm gonna scream for joy.
What a defense, though. I mean, from from Strix there in that position. I mean, they looked like, it was weird to me that we saw like a complete shift from Saints going over to like the double flanker look. It felt like the Strix were just very adept at dealing with that one. In particular, Vision, while I talked about like how he was, you know, being so smart and having like a good feel for the game, it felt like the Sombra never really got online. Like even the one EMP that there was didn't really seem like it got a lot of value, and it took a long time to get it as well because of how good the focus was from Strix to deal with that double flanker. Like even with Tree kind of just doing Tree things a lot of the time, there were some of those clutch moments, whether it was from Krondop getting both the supports, Taejong getting a Pulse Bomb, like those little things really did help Strix kind of win out.
Well, and the thing is it starts all the way back from the first takedown. Like everything kind of stems. Vision falls behind on managing to gain the ultimate percentage. They still want to stay invested in it to try and see if it's the win condition. Once they finally use it, it doesn't gain the necessary value that they would like. And even as they do eventually start to get that fight, Krondop understands immensely how to play that last positioning so that they can guarantee another recontest. Everything just falls in suit for them over the course of that, and cannot wait to see how it continues to go. But we've got a short break coming up here, so don't go anywhere, friends, because we'll be back in just a moment.
You like solving problems. Problems like how to stop that Tracer from deleting your backline. I know just what you're thinking. You'll bring a turret. But y'all can't solve all your problems by simply bringing an extra friend to the battlefield. For that, you need the Contenders Torbjorn skin. Solve your problems by connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. After that, watching Overwatch Contenders Summer Series will contribute to your drops progress, letting you claim your Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin. Even your turret gets an upgrade. Warning, the Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin does not come with extra or upgraded turrets. Build instructions will not be provided. By picking Torbjorn, you waive a claim towards any destroyed turrets. No refunds, no exchanges, and no take-backsies.
Why, hello there, friends. We're going to continue on to help you get your Torbjorn skin and also bring you a third map, which is going to be exciting. I'm Rich Red here with Kenobi, and we're going to be heading to Watchpoint Gibraltar, my friend. We get to see it again.
I mean, again, this is another map where Winston's in the reign supreme. I don't know if we'll see like too many switches. I would expect not. What I do want to see, though, is if we're not seeing any switches, please give me Widowmaker matchups. Please.
Yes.
I'm down with Ashe, too, but like I want Widowmaker. I know Widowmaker, like, has fallen off recently, especially with like the nerfs that she's had.
Yeah.
But I still want to.
We can hope.
I still think she's cool some of the times. That's a hot take, probably.
Would you say that she's neat? Would you say that? I think we'd be able to say that. That's neat. To see. That's two. That's two that I've weaved in.
What was the other one that you like wanted to have weaved into this broadcast?
Now,
Yeah, you said flabbergasted. You said neat.
I said flabbergasted. I said neat. What was the other one now? Chat, help me.
We'll figure it out.
Me. I don't know.
Well, actually, no. We won't figure it out. Let's just skip over it.
Yeah, we'll just skip over it. Okay. But yes, so with Watchpoint Gibraltar, we already got to see it earlier today with the compositions. I absolutely agree with you, though. I would love to see more of the Widowmaker because it is just a treat to really watch, especially with these two specific individuals. Like, that's the other dynamic of this when we want to talk about elevating that type of gameplay. It's one thing to see, but when it's two very proficient players that really have the wit and the tact to know how to find these hidden angles or surprise positions, that just makes it even better.
I agree with you there, and I mean, I think that it's, you know, with all the nerfs that she's had, I think it is hard to like kind of find a place for her, especially with like dive being so prevalent, and Ashe being like kind of good at the current moment. I think that Widowmaker is like very niche at this point, and it could be played on like probably only like Gibraltar or something like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if this was just an Ashe versus Ashe matchup, which I think is something that Vision is totally fine taking. I think long-range hit scan is very much Vision's wheelhouse. I think Hanzo could potentially also be something that we see, because Hanzo, especially because it's Vision's Hanzo, and whenever we've interviewed people about Vision's Hanzo, everyone's like, yeah, it's just a cheat code and you just win. So that's definitely something to look out for too. I think that we'll probably still continue to see like the Winston versus Winston matchup, and on a map like this where like the supports can play like relatively back, I wonder if we'll continue to see like this very much, you know, counter dive, like dive versus counter dive type thing, where it's like if you're diving in, I like have to dive onto your back line and like see if I can get kills. And a lot of it comes down to like which support line can live the longest. Is it going to be like Cal and Vega, or is it going to be Hyun and why did the name just completely exit my brain? I literally saw it like 2 seconds. Hyun and Kurova. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, Kurova.
I saw it like on the screen, and then I was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna make this point," and then I immediately just forgot what I was forgot the name that I was gonna bring up. But yeah, it's like Hyun and Kurova, and then also Cal and Vega. Whatever support line is going to be able to live longest, I think is definitely going to be kind of like the team that ends up winning this matchup. Because I think that with the counter dive kind of style of play that we're seeing a lot of right now, if you can just create time for the rest of your team, or even your own Winston, to like get into the back line and secure those kills, that's really where kind of like it comes down to the difference between winning and losing those fights.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And again, it's the quick-witted plays that really get you out. It's so high risk, high reward too. It's like, hey, like I have to go in onto this and we're gonna see if we take the fight. It's crazy what we've been able to see though. In some of these support lines, their ability to counteract, deny, and just outlast for as long as they have is really impressive.
As we go, I mean, the thing about this one as well, when we go into like the defensive end for Saiyans, we're like, we already see Vision going to be on the Ashe. So now it's going to be like for Strix. Do we see them like opt in to like go for that Widowmaker? Because it is a moment where you could have like a very slight chance of an advantage with something like the range advantage that Widowmaker would have, or are you going to go to something else? And actually, it doesn't look like they want to match up at all into that hit scan role. It's going to be Riot Amazing on the Tracer and Taejong on the Echo. It's going to be very tricky for Taejong. Has to play super careful here, because Vision is not someone you want to screw with on hit scan. Like, you got to play very, very close to your chest if you're Taejong, because if you step out of line once, I think your head gets taken off.
Yep, and with those subtle moments, Vision has been able to make plays on multiple occasions. Tree already getting a pickup onto Kurova, forcing back Strix, looking for the regroup. They've got the spawn advantage, so it won't take too long, but that just lets Mikey sit pretty, reset, go back to their position, and look for the next engagement.
And I mean, you can see Taejong really can only just poke like every now and again, right? You know, whenever stickies are up, go in, see if you can find the stickies onto Vision, potentially force him out, but Taejong just has to play around this geometry, because you have to respect the incoming damage from the Ashe.
You can see Taejong playing so closely to this wall until they can enter into it. Nice wall for the moment. The barrier denying that spam fire onto Vision specifically, even dropping down below. Taejong, just you see the threading of the needle from Vision, dropping down below again to not be within the sight lines, collapsing onto Mikey, who's playing overly aggressive, but all the while the focus here onto Mikey. You see both supports get so low, and Hyan specifically goes down.
Yeah, the supports got absolutely evaporated there. I think for Strix right now, they're struggling to like find a way into this because of the fact that, like, again, they can't really get to Vision without literally forcing every single cooldown, and Vision has a lot of pocket around him to be able to play with, right? Cal's there with a nade. You also have Vega, who's holding shield all the time and just pocketing Vision in a lot of the scenario. And even though Vision isn't like doing incredible in terms of the damage numbers, just staying alive is what he needs to do, as Mikey just goes into the backline and is able to find a couple of kills.
Great final just in time as the pulse bomb was there, and it's going to just continue gaining value afterwards, even though it was used more so as a survival tactic. 78 HP.
He's fine.
And still just gonna fall back. No worries, no sweat off my back. We're good.
And now it's about, I mean, this is like the last chance saloon, it feels like, for Strix here. They will have the ultimate sword. That's like the biggest thing now, is if you have just ultimates that can just overwhelm right here and you can just kill Vision, like, then you can finally like break this defensive end. But you're gonna have to probably use Nano and Primal just to get up here onto this high ground. They do take away the blue boxes, but there goes Krondop having to use that defensively, and is slept as well. What a great play from Cal.
and then they're gonna whip shot him back to make sure that they don't recover from it. The Nano now onto Mikey just to get some extra damage down below. Taejong needs to get something, and they go for the duplicate, but it's on the Ana. More so, I think, to survive through it by resetting the health value since they were so low and contribute to recovery for Strix for another engagement.
Ana is a good dude, but here comes Mikey into the back line with that dive. Gun actually using that rally to keep the rest of the team blanketed up. Strix, though, their health bars are dwindling so fast, Rich.
Unbelievable. There's a nice whip shot at least, though, to get rid of Tree. That's 1 out of 4 that you need to worry about. There is a great sleep onto Krandop, still managing and withstanding a lot of it. Bob down below, keeping contention onto the payload even further. So you do see this pulse bomb looting and managing to get 1. Cal is the next on the chopping block and will be picked up by Taejong. They are able to work their way through this and finally gain distance enough to reach this checkpoint. Tree is going to look for contention to buy some time with the recall as well, but that's the only person that they can really have to do so, and it won't last long enough.
And I mean, that was really just, I think the ultimate's overwhelming, and the thing about it is like, they weren't really getting kills at the start, but what it did was it just broke the defense, and Vision, you know, had to go to the low ground. It's a much easier diveable target there, and then finally Strix were able to really start to take that space away and create the momentum that they needed, as Hyun is going to get antied here. Is he going to get taken down? Nope, it's going to get peeled out of cover.
Nice recovery, able to clean it up. Primal once again looking for a juggle fest, the one that we see consistently dominating in them. And Mikey's going for a third. I'm
so
finding a
good.
corner. Knows how to triangulate those deaths. My goodness.
Oof. I mean, that was just spicy. That's the second time in the series that we've seen him just juggle the supports to death off of just 1 Primal. And it's awesome to see, like, when Primal can just be used as an offensive win button, right? Like, I think that there's been a lot of talk about Winston, but there aren't a lot of Winstons, I think, who can pull that off as consistently as Mikey has throughout the entirety, I think, of his career. Not the entirety of his career, but, like, at least the last year and a half, I'd say.
Yeah. Nice bash to come up front, attempted to try and keep him occupied. Nano again onto Mikey. Big bio nade. Oh my goodness, but look at the counterplay coming in. There is still a pickup onto 1. Mikey is down. It is going to be Saints drawing back most likely for the moment while Tree looks for harassment, since you do still need Strix to get back to a full 5, so that doesn't really net them anything.
Yeah, the Strix have a full 5-pack of ultimates in their bank, and again, it's just them going to try and overwhelm the entirety of Saints with their wallet at this point. The Strix now come back into this, a minute left for them. Where the card is, I mean, I think this is rich. The last chance they're going to get. Karova's dead to Vision!
Oh,
that's a disastrous pick, and Krandop might not be long for this world either.
Nope. Nope, gonna go down. Tree comes in swiftly to get that execution. This is what you not want to see. Now it is final fight territory, and everything relies on this engagement.
Yeah, now it's definitely that. Oh, finally, Taejong takes down Vision. Huge pick. That means Vision actually isn't able to get the Bob as well, but Taejong in the back end is gonna... Great healing stick, though!
Tree comes in with a pulse bomb and now makes it an even 4 for 4, but that's actually bought enough time that Vision is back in, so it's a 5 versus 4. Taejong, low supports are gone. Mikey clocks in once again. Another day at the job, just putting rest to supports. Unreal with 10 seconds to go.
Remember when I talked about how it's gonna matter like which defensive support line lives the longest? When Mikey is Primal Raging you, you don't get to live. This is just every single time Primal Rage is up, the supports are dead. The Nano goes on to Taejong just to try and desperately bring this one back with the Bob. I mean, it's still being fought over here, Rich.
Now, Vision gonna get rid of Bob for contention. It's no longer there. They have to lean forward. Bob gonna knock up Amazing and gets picked up. No one's close, no one's home. And that will be where the payload stays as we take the swap of sides to see if Strix can deny Saints from being able to get to that golden box of victory.
It is a possibility right now for the defensive end of Strix. I think if they like move back towards the Ash, we saw Taejong play pretty well on it a couple of times, but man, this defense was, I mean, because we're going to see a Vision highlight reel, but
wow, between the wall and the shield, just perfection. And then we get more of this.
The transfer is the craziest part. And then he finds again Kurova like in the air, juggles them to death. Here even, I mean, gives his life, but trades out for Kurova. I mean, it's not... I just really, really am impressed. And I can't say enough for Mikey, who... I mean, we have to remember, last year was in the grand finals against the Dallas Fuel on the San Francisco Shock on Winston and almost won a championship. Like, this guy is really really talented on this hero, and I think deserves a lot of credit.
Cracked out of their mind, indeed, as we do take that swap opportunity now for Strix to put up a defensive hold for the ages to try and keep them in a favored place to go onto a match point. But Saints can't count them out with what they've been able to do performance-wise, and I am just scared of this individual. If I were to ever enter into a lobby with Mikey as a support, I'm pretty sure I would hate my life.
He also has, I think he has the most ultimates used in the lobby right now. So he's just, I mean, he's farming.
Just spamming it.
Yeah,
just spamming them, yeah.
He's farming right now. And I think Saints on the offensive end, like, not really changing too much about themselves. Strix, though, I think doing the smart thing and not opting in for the Echo. I think you really need that defensive Ashe in the back pocket here, because you need to be able to not only, like, have that spam ability, but also deal with Vision. Vision cannot be left alone here on the high ground by himself, and TaeJong needs to be able to take this matchup.
And there's already massive value that Vision's been able to gain. Couple of decent body shots onto TaeJong, and then the Dynamite as well. Nice play with the Bionade to land onto Korova, who's found themselves losing their life very early in some of these fights as of late. Another shot from Vision taking down TaeJong, and this one, it lands between the eyes.
Krandop is still around here, and maybe Vision can... The Dynamite... Oh, that's unfortunate.
Nobody saw that.
Yeah,
Nobody saw that.
I mean, he used up all of his, you know, energy to get those couple of headshots that he saw, but...
It's like the Sojourn power-up.
It is, basically. But this is, I mean, this is fine, because Strix, like, look at them. They have to retreat all the way back, and look at all of this high ground that Saints get to take now.
Yep. You can see Krandop gonna get instantly denied. Whether it's from the whip shot or it's from the coach gun, either is never good against Krandop. With now 2 minutes and 40 seconds still residing in this high ground position, able to get topped up with the Dynamite dissipating. And you can just see Saints playing this so patiently.
Huge anti.
What a nade from Korova, who was not able to get the initial fight, comes back in tenfold, landing a nade for the ages.
4-man nade right there. Good lord. I mean, that was the one way I think they were going to break that defense. If Korova just backboarded a nade up there, took down everyone's health bars, and Saints have to give up all of that positioning that they worked so hard for. And I mean, it's a little bit of a scary situation for them, because they have to get back up onto this high ground. I think Strix are going to have to, you know, leave this high ground eventually, but it's still just time that's being taken off the clock here in Tree. With a pulse bomb, could look to maybe find something in that back line.
Not going too far away from the rest of the squad until there's an opening down below into the server room. Sticking close with the rest of the team, not wanting to take these 1v1 picks just yet as they flank around. That is the recall. Rymazing needs to use the dashes, but it is Tree waiting for that transition to the server room health pack and completely shuts them out. Now you've got this nano boost that's going to be coming through. You've got the energy and the opportunity to turn this back around. Nice sleep, though, onto Mikey, mitigating the Primal Rage, which we've seen gave massive value before. Trading consistently in this server room, it is still going to be Strix yielding the better end of this and forcing back Saints.
And I mean, again, it's another anti-nade from Korova, who finds the backline. Cal instantly went down at the start of that fight, which was huge because they needed the nano to be able to stay alive and hold themselves in there, especially putting it onto Vega's Brig. And now I think with where the card is, Rich, and if this fight is as elongated as we've usually seen them, this could be the last fight that we see for Saints. They luckily have a nano to work with to throw onto either Tree or onto Mikey to create all that space that they want. But Rymazing is potentially at a point where he can find a pulse bomb and find his charged pulse bomb and change this fight completely.
Now Krandop, ooh, there is the rock in the way, so it keeps Krandop on the high ground for the moment to force back the supports. TaeJong goes down, Tree finds the pick. Mikey re-aggressing onto Rymazing, who gets out, thankfully, in time. Pushing back in, Korova hit by the Bionade, but there's no one close enough to get the damage.
Vision's
the Tesla Electric is basically just going to be chip damage onto Hayon, who's going down. This is just unfortunately devastating for Strix. It will guarantee that Saints can push the remaining portion of this as they finalize the last two. Nice opportunity to disengage to at least save some of Strix. Krandop specifically, that is now 2 minutes and 30 for this final stretch.
2 minutes and 30 to basically get to the end of the map here as Vision, I think, just pick Sombra to go quicker towards that back line. And now the spaceship is where we're going to see a lot of the posturing happen here, because we need, if Mikey can hold this like effectively, it's just going to give so much space for Saints to work with here. But if Strix can kind of fight for it effectively and force down Mikey. That's going to give Taejong a lot of ability to sit on that high ground and really pump out the damage as they go through. But I mean, oh, what a need! Oh my God, Cal!
Wow.
Let's kill.
And there's the pickup. Mikey gets it. And the second, consistently, on 4 separate occasions, whether it's primal or not, eliminates the support line. And now is putting them into a very devastating spot where they have to get back to this as a full 5 and look for a final stand.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't even know without their Tracer if they're going to be able to do so. I mean, you should see Hyun is right here, but actually, Hyun's just dead here. I don't think there's a way back in. The Nano is actually going to be used to keep him alive.
Wow, dashing forward, now contention, Tree falling back, dashing away from that frontal aggression, re-entry now, rally from Vega, Cal tosses out the Nano, Pulse Bomb sticks onto Haon, everything crumbles in front of Strix's eyes. Saints are able to work through the initial defensive hold that was quite well from Strix at the start, but falls shy with a harsh engagement just in front of the spaceship. They've got 4 meters left to go. They've dialed themselves in and now put themselves on a match point.
Yeah, no heroics from Kiriko this time. It's the Saints who finally are able to break that one, or finally able to turn that one into a victory. It was a bit scrappy, I think, on both of the offensive ends with their first attacks, but once they were able to kind of break those defenses and get that momentum, it felt like a completely different game. And I mean, Mikey just was unreal on this map. I mean, this was a phenomenal Winston performance. I think all things considered, benefiting a lot as well from some help from that backline, from Cal, from Vega, with those antis that were set up. I mean, also I think that the coordination with the dives with Tree also looked really good. So I think that like this Saints team, when they're firing on all cylinders like this, they just look like such a well-oiled machine, and it's so hard to slow down. And to Strix's credit, I mean, they did do it a couple of times, but it just wasn't enough in the end.
Yep, and we'll see if they're able to continue putting a lot of applied pressure onto Saints and deny them accessibility from bringing this to a hopefully 5 mapper. Maybe we'll see another opportunity for Saints to do so, but well-rounded performance as a whole. And like you said, just this understanding, again, those 2 key moments specifically. One, it was just the Winston play as a whole, but I loved that moment where Tree has a full just read on exactly how the escapability is going to happen with it, denies that grab on the small health pack in the server room, just all these different just reinforcing moments to your point. I can't wait to see how this next one's going to go, and it's really something for Strix as well, is, you know, they've been with their roster and the highlights of these players and their independent skill and how they've been able to grow over the course of last week and this week, with only having 3 days of an opportunity to practice before going into their first game, really have stepped up.
Yeah, I mean, I think because of the fact that they have like a lot of these new players who are and a lot of them are on ping as well. That's like the crazy thing is like they're playing this good, you know, while having, you know, some sort of, I don't want to say disadvantage or anything, but like ping is something that's like very difficult to play on, especially if it's like Winston or something like a Tracer. So I think that they are really stepping up to the plate and playing incredibly well against the champions of last season. And that last map was very close. I think every map so far we've seen from them has been very close. And as we go into our next map, it looks like we do have confirmation. It is going to be
New Queen Street,
which is not one that I've seen in a while. I feel like it's been Esperanza more so than anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the go-to for a lot. And we always have some interest when it comes to New Queen Street because it highlights specifically a lot of those little nooks and crannies, the smaller avenues, the methodology behind potentially some
Swiss
Tracer
cheese,
play, which we've seen. Yeah, Swiss cheese. Always have to look to food for us, and I'm okay with that one from Door. I'm okay specifically with that one. But yes, New Queen Street, interesting one. Excited to see that Strix is going to be playing that one and looking how it's going to favor them, as we actually do have a sub going to be coming in again. We're going to see the swap from what we had initially. So we're going to have Avertings coming in place and being able to adjust that support line just ever so slightly to see if it's enough to turn this around.
We have seen Hyun playing we have seen Hyun playing some of the Lucio. I think specifically, what map was it? On Midtown, right? We saw Hyun come in and play that Lucio, but I think Avertings is like now the Lucio like specialist, and on a map like Push and New Queen Street, like you need kind of like Lucio to be there to really just like be able to get back into, to be able to make those rotations and like avoid some of that Swiss cheese potential that you can get caught out. So I think that that makes sense with what the sub we're seeing from Strix, and I would expect maybe that so this would be a map where it's like, I would maybe expect like Junker Queen to come out, because I think that mirroring the Winston, Crandop has been playing really, it's not like Crandop has been playing bad on Winston, but when Mikey's playing this good, it's definitely difficult, I think, to like match up in the mirror.
It's scary, absolutely. But the other thing too is, with the Junker Queen and how it plays against the Winston, it does have viability with being able to catch potentially Mikey off guard, Jagged Blade specifically, really understanding the timing to gain that accessibility to shut it down. But it looks like...
Well, my point doesn't matter because...
I was just going to say, is that accurate? Are we going to have that happen?
The tree tank?
You know, you were talking about versatility, hero pool depth, what they started on. You know, this might just bring us to a map 5 just for funsies.
D.Va is just Fat Tracer. That is true. I saw that I saw JR producer talking about that. This is one I was not expecting. This is a weird one to me. I don't know what this means in terms of like the tank we're gonna see. I mean, maybe it is gonna be the D.Va. Yeah, this is not one I was at all expecting. I've been caught off guard here by the Saints.
You and I both are just kind of sitting here pondering and just wondering what's going to happen. Yeah, this is going to be fun. That's all I could say, friends. This is going to be fun.
What is he going to play? I mean, King is in, so that's good. I mean, King is very gifted.
King's good.
I mean, the King Vision DPS line seems like really good to me, but like I Tree on tank, you know, if there's anyone who I think could probably pull it off, it is Tree. So we'll see what Saints bring to the table.
For all of our viewing audience at home, this is for you. As we are entering onto this map of Push, you know, we've talked about pigeons and pizza, we've talked about food in general, and now, as we're entering in onto this, it's time for some coffee. Who needs caffeine, friends? I know I do. I'm actually joking, I really don't. What's your go-to drink? What's your go-to drink? Is it iced coffee?
Whatever the one that you... Okay, because I live in New England, so it's Dunkin' iced coffee with regular cream and 2 shots of vanilla swirl.
That's right. I think I helped you figure that out.
And then you helped me convert that into a Starbucks order, because Dunkin' doesn't really exist like everywhere as much as it does in New England.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think. Let me see. I wonder if I still have the Starbucks order you told me.
What is it? Tom Beanston? Is that coffee place? I'd love me some Tom Beanston right now. As we now enter in onto this, we will see if Saints is able to close this out with a 3-1 scoreline, or Strix once again will find themselves in a climactic map 5 for a second time on broadcast.
Second time on broadcast, but like 5th time during this entire season.
5th time overall, so yeah, that's true.
There's been a lot of Overwatch played by Strix here, and as we start things off, King is actually going to be on the Genji. So Genji Ashe is a combination that's kind of stood the test of time, because if you can get Ashe into a position where you can hit those dynamites, it's great to get those Genjis in to get that dash elimination and reset out. So I think this is a great composition for Saints to play with. And Vision already takes down Taejong, and we have our answer about what Tree is going to be playing. It's going to be the Junker Queen, baby.
Yep, gonna go head-to-head against Crandop, who's played it very proficiently, but unfortunately with a comp like this from Saints and the well-rounded understanding of how they play with one another, this is gonna be a win for the neutral.
And I mean, this is something that I think that like is good for this type of like playstyle, where it's like Tree can kind of just like stand in the back, just poke, doesn't have to be really like aggressive, because really it's just about holding that space for Vision and King to get value, because if you give them enough time, eventually they're going to be able to find some sort of dynamite or some sort of dash reset that's just going to completely blow the fight up.
Let him cook. Let him cook indeed. As you do see King getting a pickup onto Raimazing, who is not ready for this. This Genji play from King is actually disgusting. I think, realistically, too.
I think the last time we saw King play this was actually on New Queen Street during Spring Series.
Yeah, it was.
And it was really good back then, and Saints are just completely running over this right now from Strix. And Strix don't really have a way to, like, match the spam. Like, Vision is just left by himself, unless, like, Raimazing can find a way to, like, just randomly find a pick throughout all of this spam. Maybe you can get it, but beyond that, it's very difficult to realistically match against this Ashe.
The best way to recover is going to have to be now, though. They don't want to allow this to get to the checkpoint so early. Big pickup by Rymazing, but unfortunately the Dynamite and Vision takes them out. Bob gets a crossfire from being that far away. This checkpoint being reached at just over 2 minutes is disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, this is just looked incredibly dominant right now as Vision is looking for that tracer. Actually hits the Dynamite onto Taejong. I don't think Taejong has recall, so has to just go get a normal health pack and might actually meet King. Yep, I was thinking, as soon as I saw King's POV, I was like, Taejong's like around there.
That's not going to end friendly at all. Jagged Blade now onto the Rampage. Actually gets a pull to reposition, but it still clips 2. As Avertix gets the sound barrier up. Grandop looking to turn this around, but Vega responds in kind. It's like deja vu for the opposing team, and they will get the better end of this, but actually a pulse bump comes in. Grandop! Oh my goodness.
Oh, he missed the carnage. Oh no.
Oh no. But you know what? Strick's still going to come out on top. They just got to clean up King. Blade going to go in. Oh, the shuriken damage, but Avertix is there to help out.
Yeah, I mean, they're just trying to get as much as they can out of that, but a lot of ultimates used in that fight, I think. In total, I think all 5 of them from Saints and 4 of them from Strick, so 9. As Rymazing will have an overclock, though, so that is going to be a good chance for Rymazing to be able to create space and potentially find some picks to make this card move a little bit longer, and Strix can finally get some percentage. But it's not going to matter if Vision just finds your head immediately, and that should be a fight win for Saints.
Completely nullifies the overclock. Picks up Avertix, who's way out in the open down below, separated from the team. This is now a chance just to regain that distance and to regain that opportunity of just taking this to the end. Yeah, you have to.
And Rymazing needs to like find like this overclock and just immediately look for Vision's head, or else this is going to be very difficult to play through because the spam is just so much from Saints composition. And with Kiriko Lucio, you don't really have a lot of healing output. Kiriko's not what she used to be in terms of that healer.
Yeah, the throughput being just a little bit under par, but still yielding value. Jagged Blade to get Rymazing forward, and they force out the Suzu. There's the shot we've been waiting for. Onto Tree, brings them back to spawn, and now another chance. Yep, for Vision to try and hold back, keep them alive, and Strix isn't able to get the kills that they would have liked out of that.
And I mean, Strix, they don't get the kills, but they also like keep ultimates, which is a big deal, right? They win that one just by the virtue of having that neutral fight where they pick off Tree, and now they have probably about a set of 5 ultimates in this next fight to be able to match what Saints are bringing to the table. But Vision can make this into a 6v5 and completely disrupt with this Bob.
Ooh, Kitsune rush to swing around the corner. Everyone from Saints is going to respect and fall back. They actually look for a flanking angle onto the bot so it can't continue to move forward. King gets the pickup onto Taejong and now cycles back with a swift reset. Gets that positioning, gets the deflect, has to run for their life, and unfortunately can't escape Rymazing, who's got the overclock finally active, holding onto that for about 2 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, and the bot has actually pushed all the way back for Saints.
Yeah, they stole the bot. Really good Suzu there from Cal to be able to keep the rest of the members alive, but that Rampage is absolutely nuts from Krandop and should be able to turn this fight back around, but it might not even matter too much. I mean, yes, they win the fight, but look at the bot. It's basically back where Saints had it all the way pushed, so it's a fight win, yes, for Strix, but at the cost of every single one of their ultimates, they don't get that much progress.
Yo, Vega's just like, fam, buy some time. I'm gonna keep pushing.
That's good
just
macro.
Buy some time.
That's really good macro. I love when teams do that on push.
Now Krandop's in the coffee house up top, looking to regroup back down below. 4 minutes to go. Still needs to reach this checkpoint. Strix has a long road ahead of them. King now with the blade, Rampage available, and a sound barrier to boot. Saints in a good position to play this angle and wash this corner. And realistically, Krandop continues to get punished up front. Look at how much damage is going into them. They don't want to use a cooldown here, so it's strictly just the supports keeping them healed up. Now on the high ground, up through the gym way. Look at a unleash to counteract against Taejong, who's taken a chapter out of King's book with the Genji play. Man, this is just so patient and methodical from them.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the time that's been leached off of the clock right now. They started this, like, poking phase at, like, 4.5 minutes, and now here comes King going in.
On top of the bus, drops below, goes in for the dash, can't quite get it. There's extra healing with that Kitsune rush to get them through it, but Kurova goes down alongside of Verdings, and everything shifts in an instant from Saints as they combat with quite a few ultimates, but still keep Tree's Rampage.
Yeah, they keep the Rampage, and Avertings hasn't really found a way to get back towards the sound barrier. So really it's going to be, in this next fight, it's going to be off the back of Kurova to try to find a way to get a really good Suzu, and you know Saints are going to be looking at themselves. They're going to be trying to find a way. As soon as that Suzu goes out, they're going to wait for that call, and then the Rampage is going to come through.
2 minutes and 40 seconds. Keeping a watchful eye on the Rampage. Kitsune Rush is active. Moving forward. Repositioning, chasing down Raimazing, who does just elude the Jagged Blade that flew free. A second one that they dodge. The dodgeball favors you today, Raimazing, but Taejon goes down from King, who gets the dash reset for the dash. Again, once onto Raimazing. King, oh, you gonna do that, Tree? You gonna do that, Tree? That's alright. We gonna just let, but I mean, to be fair,
Vega
King is the
also
one who's,
stole an ace right there.
Right?
I just wanted to, I just want people to know that King, I mean, it's just been absolutely unstoppable. And I think, again, it benefits really with just how good he is at this hero, but this composition enables the Genji so much. And Tree still has this Rampage ready and available to them, but Strix have managed to get ultimates of their own.
That's basically the win condition right now for Saints. If they find themselves in a position for this to be turned around, there's the Dragon Blade to come through. Taejon gets one, now deflecting the incoming damage. The kunai cannot find until the melee lands. And Tree, you know, finally uses the Rampage, brings it into the mix. Strix will be able to take this fight if they just get rid of Tree. But again, look at how far they still have to go with a minute 30, Kenobi.
Yeah, I mean, they still have to do the butt scratch, and they still have to get a lot of meterage in their back pocket, as we'll see a replay of King just slicing and dicing through the entirety of this Strix lineup. And Rich, I mean,
so dirty, so dirty. How dare you,
yeah,
Vega?
Vega actually, that's a kill steal. That's an ace steal. I'd be mad.
Now the overclock is active, gets a pick up onto Vega, and the second onto Tree. Still at least something here for Vision for their troubles, with Raimazing needing to be very careful. Is Bob now no longer on the field? And they push. They'll be able to get this checkpoint here since there were so many taken down, so that's one step to many they have left.
Yeah, I mean, they have to win probably like 2 or 3 more fights. I mean,
yeah.
It's going to be very difficult. And that's also with the fact that they're going to get this checkpoint right now, and that's going to be 10 seconds that's just off the clock. So you literally have to be perfect from here on out if you're Strix, and you like it has to be off the back of this Rampage from Krendov and potentially this Kitsune Rush from Kurova. They don't have anything else near close, and that's an instant kill onto Avertings.
No.
Disaster.
This is now with an overlapping ultimate from the Kirikos, the Kitsune Rush, to see who can better feat in this moment with 15 seconds to go. Saints lighting up in the kill feed, an entire team kill. And now there is no way that Strix is going to be able to get back here. It is going to be a prayer. If they touch in time, actually they do have the position forward. Avertings is dead. Can they get someone to touch? They managed to go into the overtime. Pushing this forward, it's going and vanishing. Can they get there again? No, they can't. Saints come out blazing with this composition. A surprise factor to us and all those viewing. We won't see a map 5 this time around, but still one hell of a fight. Is this going to be the kill steal?
It might be, actually, but I think that Saints, I mean, really, they brought in Tree like onto the tank, and Tree like played like pretty well. I mean, it obviously wasn't like the DPS, but like I think overall Tree like had a pretty good moment on just did what he needed to do kind of on this. Like Tree didn't have to carry or anything like that, but this was really like King and Vision show. I think that they played absolutely phenomenal in their own right. King was just absolutely everywhere, really benefiting from Vision's dynamites and the rest of the team like having that ability to get those like get the damage done where it was like Vega with the triple dinks, or whether it's Vision with dynamites, whether it's Cal with kunais. Like they really enabled King, and King returned it tenfold.
It's almost like the ace in the hole kind of moment when you see King play this Genji. It's so crazy how well and perfect in a lot of states that they can do this. And even when they're coming back and attacking and trying to deny it, and a couple of moments where you do see them getting caught off guard. I mean, Taejong at this point was just trying to respond at every instance to deny King from doing what they were doing. Like, it was always playing catch up and seeing what they could do to stop this momentum from them.
Yeah, and that's always a very tricky situation to be in, right? If you're a team where it's like, if you're always playing off the back foot, then it's just I'm very, very worried for that team if you're always like kind of just like opting into the play style of the other team, right? And not opting into what your own play style is. So for Strix, unfortunately, won't be seeing a map 5 from them, but Saints take a well-needed step towards trying to catch O3 Splash, who are at the top of the table right now.
They really are. But we have an interview with Cal coming up just after this break, so don't go anywhere, friends, because in 3 minutes, we'll be chit-chatting with them. And we're back, my friends. We have the opportunity to have a few words with Cal after Saints are able to take a victory 3-1, not seeing a map 5. I know you were all upset, but still a show to be put on. My friend, Cal, I know we chit-chatted before going into the interview. I know you're feeling great after that one, aren't you?
Feeling okay. Feeling fine.
I mean, okay, so talk me through a little bit about this series, because I think Strix is a team that like has a little bit of difference. I'm actually curious to hear what your thoughts about this would be. Like, what is the Strix team in terms of like, you know, bringing in a lot of this new talent from not necessarily the NA region, people that you haven't necessarily played against before? How is that kind of, was there any difference in like how you prepped for this team rather than like some of the other NA teams that you might have already known kind of how they operate anyways?
I just know they have like that one Korean player and Brander. That's about it though. No real prep. just kind of showed up and played.
Okay. You got to get the little cran derp in there. All right, I get it. But yeah, so overall, we've seen you continue to try and work through this. You know, Kenobi and I always have, you know, the understanding of what your squad is as a whole, that last season you just were able to dominate. The playoffs are where you really start to come online. Do you feel like in this segment so far with where you're at is kind of that, like, we play to our game, we don't get too overly stressed out about it, we know our potential, and, you know, play a little bit more reserve in the bigger picture here?
If I'm being completely honest, I don't think we really care about like anything. It's kind of just like waiting for playoffs to happen.
See, yeah, you get in that mentality of like, yeah, you gotta get the spot and then like turn the switch on.
Yeah, just have some fun, you know. It's like that's the main point. Like everybody's here to have fun, mostly to win, but what's winning without having fun? So we're just joking around, having a laugh, giving them a map just so people in the chat can get their skins.
Yeah, truly one of the people. I think so. Talk to me a little bit about like kind of going into like a group stages and then going into playoffs. Is there anything that you are willing to try, like just as a unit, like just randomly off the cuff, like in group stages? Because you're like, we're most likely going to get to the playoffs anyways. This is a great time for us to practice. Is that, or like, you know, see if anything is like viable against some, you know, other competitions that's like higher up in the table. Is that a thought process that you guys go through at all?
I guess you kind of saw it today where Tree's playing tank.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was leading toward.
that was on the fly last match against, I don't know their name, but we had True on Sigma, and honestly there was a gap going on. I won't lie. True putting in the work.
I mean, overall, it was really great to see, and even Kenobi and I, probably, and those at home, were a little stunned by, oh, okay, Tree's gonna go on that. Oh, okay. I mean, realistically, though, it was very well played overall. King, when we get to see them on that Genji, is also just a real sight to see. We don't get to see it as much, but it's been an absolute pleasure being able to see that unfold. So overall, what was the reasoning for Tree? Because you mentioned something about False too, if I'm not mistaken,
yeah.
Right? That False wasn't able to hop in for the role because we don't really want to see Mikey on that.
There's three reasons. It's False is on vacation. We have to give King their petty map, of course, you know. King's gotta like stretch, gotta get off the bench every once in a while, so and Mikey,
it's so nice that you let him play Genji too. It's so nice that you let him play Genji.
Yeah, one of the most agile the agile movement. You just like, hey, we want to get some blood in your legs, King. All right. I gotta sit up. I gotta make sure I'm ready. Let's go. Well, it's been awesome to be able to see, and again, getting you guys on the broadcast as always is a thrill to see the way that you perform and continue to work your way towards playoffs, which we know is where the switch is going to be heavily flicked in the right direction. So we hope you have a wonderful rest of your night, my friend. Thank you for the interview as always, and we'll look to see you in the next games.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Kyle.
All right, Kenobi. That concludes our second series for the NA day today, but there's so much more for the rest of this week. I'm just happy that we got another map 5. This one was just shy of it, still good overall. And we actually get to take a look at the standings that have been updated once again here, as we can see that 03 Splash is continuing on their trajectory with a 6-0 undefeated victory run so far.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really, I think, competitive top half of this bracket. I mean, now it looks like, before it was like everyone was like 4-1. Now we're starting to see like a little bit of change between, or like a little bit more of a gap, I'd say, between like the top 3 and like the rest of the mid and then like the bottom half. But that bottom half still looks very competitive. I mean, Amplify, Afterlife, both at 2 and 4, Rift Worldwide and Dragon Dance still have ways back into this if they, you know, can win a couple of games. So not everything is like set in stone right now. While 03 Splash is at that 6-0, still, I think there are some teams that could potentially catch them off guard. But I think that we are like in a very, very competitive part of Contenders right now. And while, you know, it's funny that Saints are always like, we're just waiting for playoffs. Like, there's still some teams that are putting in the work to try and like, really, really get back at them in playoffs.
They definitely do. And also, just we did get updates as well. So that 4th and 5th position could be a little bit of a shifting since their game is still going on between the two. So that will be refined a little bit later after the broadcast, most likely as we are closing it up. But we can take a look at what the 18th tomorrow is going to look like for North America, which is going to be Afterlife versus Rift to start the day off. And then we do conclude it with Wisp versus O3 Splash. I'm excited for that one, not only because it's the top half of the tier list, but we also get to see O3 Splash in their prime live on broadcast.
I'm also excited for that Afterlife Rift one because that's also a series that is going to be very important in deciding who is going to be able to get that last playoff spot, if there's going to be able to get that last playoff spot or fall lower in the standings. So I think tomorrow, a lot of stakes for that first game, and then also Wisp versus O3 test or O3 Splash is going to be a great litmus test to kind of see where potentially that like break in the tier is between like the best of the best and the more middle of the pack, I'll say.
Absolutely. And with that, it's going to be interesting. I can't wait for us to be able to conclude as we go nearer and nearer towards the tail end of this. Again, playoffs are just around the corner, but there's still some opportunity to see the work. But with that concluding today, we know what tomorrow is, and we're looking forward to seeing you in that broadcast. But, from us, we have no more. We've given you a map 5, we've had an extended map 4, and, a lot of talk about words and food. So I don't think we can ask for anything more to give to them, can we, Kenobi? I think that's pretty good for today.
That's pretty much our standard right now. That's what we do.
All the boxes checked. My whiteboard right there has always got all of those things there. It's like, do I hit each of them? Absolutely.
I think we went through the entire list and we got it all done.
Gauntlet. Absolute gauntlet. But again, from us, we hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. Take care, happy gaming, and we're looking to see you for more action tomorrow.